Let's see if we're even live. All this. Cool. Yes, we is. Yes, we is. Oh, wait. Let me do this. There we go. Ugh, fucking hell. Okay. Bam, bam, bam. There you go. Man, what's up, man? Just trying to find some tuning here. There we go. Yeah. I'm gonna have to work today. I'm tired as fuck. Yeah. Whoa, fuck, man. Jesus. I was gonna hang out with some of the homies later tonight, but they ended up deciding to go like deeper and deeper into fucking Portland. So I'm just like, nah, I'm not doing that. Besides, I'm just like too fucking tired now. As soon as I got off work and got home, I was just fucking like, yeah, I'm tired. If I was gonna go to the pub, I was not gonna go any farther than like in my neighborhood. And they're like, oh, we're gonna go in Portland. Oh, we're gonna go deeper in Portland now. It's like, what the fuck? It's like, okay, well, never mind then. So, yeah. I told him yesterday, or not yesterday, but, well, whatever, earlier today, that, you know, I was gonna see if, like, he was free tomorrow. Let's see if anyone wants to do anything then. Just because I just kind of knew that, yeah, they were not going to stay on this side of town at all. Like, I already knew that wasn't going to happen. Like, whenever, like, you know, Stefan and Tyler hang out, they always like to go in, like, downtown Portland or, like, some weird, obscure part of Portland. I have no fucking, like, clue where it is. You know, or, like, you know, who the fuck is, like, you know, or, like, you know, where exactly, like, I could get back home specifically, like, with, like, TriMet or Transit or something. You know, so I was just like, you know, never mind. It's like, because they wanted to go to Space Room after wherever they were at, which was somewhere in the middle of fucking Portland. Then I was like, and I know where that is, but it's like, considering, like, you know, the 75, you know, not really running anymore after midnight, there's no fucking way I'm going down there. Like, the whole volume block party I went to was, you know, like, over there, but I was there, like, since 2 o'clock in the afternoon that day. And I took the very last bus, you know, like, very last second, you know, really, you know, to get back home. So, you know, it wasn't exactly, like, you know, great, you know, being out there super late at night. So, I'm not exactly, like, you know, looking to deal fast shit. They initially said somewhere, like, downtown, like, 11th and Hawthorne, I was like, okay, at least it's near the max. They're like, oh, we're gonna go on, like, the opposite side of town. I'm just like, nope, never mind. Not gonna bother with that. Where did my fucking ladder go? Oh, there it is. It's by your house earlier. Oh, I was curious who's coach. Oh, that's my aunt. My aunt has her, like, disc brakes or something on her car fucked up, and was trying to get Dad to help fix them or something, and I don't know why she thinks that, like, he's gonna be able to help. He's, like, fucking crippled and broken, like, so. I have no idea. And apparently, somehow I locked the fucking door in this room, too. Like, the room in this garage, like, you can't open the door for some fucking reason. I've tried my hand opening the door, and it's somehow, like, sealed in there. I don't know what the fuck happened. But, yeah, I can't open it. damn it. Fuck. Come on. Ugh. Stupid fucking bull, come on. It's actually kind of cold in here, so all this shit just like fucking like... I'm fucking stuck in here. Come on. There we go. Damn, it really sucks. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing in there as far as I'm aware that's like important, so to speak. It's just, you know, but it's whatever. The whole disc brake thing, I don't know what the hell is that about. So, I have no idea. Cool. I like how you just answered that yourself. You believe in glitches in the Matrix. Glitches in the Matrix. Why do I feel like that? Why do I feel like you're leading up to something here? Depends on the glitches in the Matrix. Explain this. What is this? What in the glitch in the Matrix is going on here? Found this in an apartment. What am I looking at? What is that, a bug? Or is that a spider? That's a spider, I think. I'm pretty sure that's like a spider in a web. At least that's what it looks like. Mid-air bug, bro. I mean, is it actually a bug, or is it like a bug that got eaten by a spider or something? I mean, it doesn't... It looks like something that's caught in like a very thin like bit of web or something. Maybe got like a little cellar spider or some shit that, you know, caught something dead and now it's just there. But I have no idea. It looks like at least, you know, leftovers of like some meal from a spider. See what's happened for a tube today. Let's see if there's like, you know, anything worth a shit for this lovely little event. I'm assuming there's probably not much. It seemed like it was a slow day today. Didn't really get that much fun or interesting things to look at, so I was like, meh. Gotta love it. Not much going on for Monday. Oh, you know, it's because it's like, you know, hey, remember that thing that happened 22 years ago? Yeah, it's that. That's why. Everyone's like, let's remember and mourn. And, like, have a collective PTSD trauma over it. It's like, oh, great. Well, if that's the case, I haven't really seen much of that. So... Maybe people have started to now slowly but surely stopped giving a fuck. At least to a point where it was like a legit weird, like ritualistic fucking like funeralistic mourning like every fucking year. I remember in like like, all the way up until at least, like, somewhere halfway through high school, we literally had, like, a moment of silence and all this other bullshit during that day. Like, it was like, alright, we're gonna have, like, you know, some amount of time. I forgot exactly how long it was, but I think it varied. But we'd have, like, you know, a moment of silence, all this other bullshit. It was just, honestly, it got to a point where I just got sick of it. I was like, okay, we get it. It's trending on Twitter. I'm not surprised. Of course, all the Twitter freaks are gonna, you know, go on about that. I mean, if anything, it's more or less likely that they just, like, got nothing better to go off about. Oh, I found something interesting. Pierce Morgan and Carrie Lake have a heated gun debate? Why does Pierce Morgan give a fuck about that? And with Carrie Lake out of all people. Okay. You know what? I'm kind of willing to bite the bait on that. Just maybe a little bit. Let me do that real quick. There we go. Might bite the bait on that, because, like, what? It'd be kind of curious to see, like, the massive, insane, weird contrast between, like, a European conservative versus, like, a American conservative. Like, because, I mean, there's a lot that they agree with, for them, you know, pretty much, but, like, there's something unique about Americans, just in general, that, especially with, like, you know, Europeans, that is just very unique with. And I think it's pretty fucking obvious what that is. Guns. Like, that's the big thing. So, even for a European conservative like, you know, Pierce Morgan, they basically will sound like a goddamn Democrat when it comes to firearms. Like, no matter what. And so, I just find it funny how, like, he's gonna basically be our, like, corporate Dem placeholder while arguing with Carrie Lake about this. Even though he's like a cretinous little conservative right-wing fucking worm. It's like the one issue he happens to be live with. At least I'm pretty sure he is. Like, I don't think Pierce Morgan's a pro-gun dude. I don't think he's, like, out there talking about, like, yeah, firearms are okay, or whatever. I'm pretty sure he's, like, well, you know, like a dude that doesn't know that will talk like anyone else. Like, yeah, they're not cool, probably should restrict them and blah, 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 you know. Like, I'm, like, 99% sure that he's one of those types. So that certainly will be interesting. It is a Kyle thing. You know what? We can, you know, do a little spam on Kyle and see what he's doing today. And GOP rebrands itself from pro-life to pro-baby. Oh God, ew. Is that actually happening? Are they actually doing? Okay. Oh boy. Is that a trend that's happening too? Oh god, I see something from the Vosh pit. Oh, it's something about Jimmy. Oh my god, is this the thing with Jimmy Dore talking to Cornell West? Okay, I think I found some stuff to look at for tonight. At least 3 things. And you know what? I'm not even going to use the Vosh clip to look at that Jimmy thing, because another leftist mafia talked about it, and they go in way more depth about that, I'm pretty sure. I don't think Vosh is going to look at all the different little, like, highlights of that little, like, back and forth. But I know leftist mafia did. And honestly, the caucasity, not even the audacity, the caucasity of Jimmy Dore these days. I can't believe I actually used to like that guy at one point, honestly. Like, the dude is basically just, like, a conservative masquerading as a lefty now at this point. Or lefty, I should say. And honestly, some of the shit that he says to Cornell is actually genuinely, like, fucking insulting. Like, legitimately. It's actually... You know what? Wait, you know what? Fuck it. You know, we're gonna look at that first. Here, hold on. Let me pull that shit up, because it is genuinely just like, what the fuck, dude? Not let me so fuck this Jones. What's the reaction? Did those that help get help? No. Did those who weren't blamed get unharassed? No. Juster went up those power and eviscerated him and still didn't get those people out. Well, there were, from my understanding, he did, like, help get, like, you know, some shit passed when it came to Jon Stewart going up there and eviscerating people and shit. But that was basically because people recognized him and he's actually a very big popular figure and they had to at least do something. I never care about the people that got hurt, only that something would happen to them next. Yeah, pretty much. And it really is. I mean, you are right. It is so fucking disingenuous because, like, we give this whole idea of, like, oh, you know, some more of the losses and the people that, like, tried to save the lives and, you know, were impacted and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, okay, then where the fuck is all this legislation that was supposed to help them? Like, when it came to the firefighters or, like, you know, or in the first responders, you know, not the ones who just died, but also, like, the ones who fucking insane health ramifications, you know, after the fact, being exposed to all that fucking, like, asbestos, ammonia dust, or whatever the fuck, you know, like, I mean, it's, like, like, there's just basically nothing, outside of just, like, hey, how do we basically get all these people to just get rabble-roused into a fucking war, and conditioned to be spied on endlessly and everything, like, it's just genuinely fucking insane, and oh my god, did Twitter finally actually switch to X now? Oh my fucking god, it's actually x.com now on the URL. Oh my fucking god, that actually makes me not want to click it. That actually makes me not want to click it. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, fuck. Oh, it happened. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. I just noticed that. Yeah, well, I think it must have happened today. Like, yesterday, I think you sent me some Twitter links, and they said Twitter. I promise this is porn. I know it's not. It just simply says X. Like, I already know it ain't, like, because it's fucking Elon's stupid little, what, you know, whatever. You know what I mean. Alright, so what's this? Madison Cawthorn, ripped to the 2,997. And ripped to the 1,000, okay, so, like, 500,000 Muslims who died during invasion, U.S. invasion for something they didn't do. Wait, Madison Cawthorn? Isn't he like that, he's that conservative guy who's, like, in the wheelchair, isn't he? Like, that disabled conservative, like, dude who also got, like, ousted because he was in, like, drag or something once? Or cross-dressed once? Or, like, isn't he that dude? I kind of vaguely remember him. That's Carlton is getting ripped apart by right-wingers in the comments for this Instagram post. Which, I mean, he's getting cooked because he cooked. Like, I mean, he's cooking off because, like, he's right. I mean, yeah. He's getting fucked on for this. I mean, you know, I'm not surprised. I mean, I'm just generally not surprised, honestly. Big W for the woke mind virus. I know, dude, the woke mind virus is slowly consuming him, dude. I saw a post saying Elon only bought Twitter because his daughter caught the woke virus. Oh, dude, yeah, I saw something about that, like, a few days ago. He basically bought it just so he could try to stop his daughter from being trans or something. I don't know. It's actually just kind of fucking sad and pathetic. Now here, where the fuck is that clip here with the thing I wanted to pull up? Where are you? Went too far back. Alright, where are you? It is in here. It's hilarious. I mean, he's basically willing to just, like, let, like, the entire website be destroyed just because his daughter was, like, trans at one point. It really is just genuinely fucking pathetic. Oh, okay, here it is. It's actually in the very beginning. Okay. I think it's around... Is this where it starts, or where does it start? I want to go to where it actually starts. Oh, they just go right into it. Dude, this is at the very fucking beginning. Yeah, they just delve right into this. Okay, like, first 10 minutes. Okay. Here, let's just get right... Let's just jump in it. There we go. Alright, imagine being so fucking butthurt that you spend that much money. I bet his employees got fired for laughing at him. Oh, dude, yeah. I guarantee it. I bet they got fired just for merely being like, just for questioning. Not even necessarily saying that's a bad idea, just saying do you think, maybe it would be better if you did this? And it's like, this is a good idea, but if you did this, it would be better. But like, oh, no, how dare you think I have less, judgment capabilities better? How dare you think you have, judgment better than me? Oh, you're fired. Everything I say is superior, and you know it. They just tape a kick me sign to his back. Yeah, I would. Only instead of kick me, I'd probably say shoot me. But here, I'm selling this because this is whack. Like, I'm not even fucking kidding with you on this one. Like, it's genuinely, like, insane. So, like, of course we all know that Cornell's doing his run in the Green Party and all that stuff, and, he's basically going on any platform to, say his case. And he was on Jimmy Dore's. And, of course, the genuine caucasity that happened during this entire thing is generally fucking ridiculous. And, like I said, actually kind of insulting. Like, I'm not even kidding. I won't get too much of the deets, but let's just jump into it. We're just jumping now. I hope Cannonball, bitch.
In terms of audio level, I can't really control.
Inside, absolutely.
Okay.
For your insight, absolutely right. No doubt about that.
So let me just say this. So the point of running a third-party campaign is to offer an alternative to the two major parties, to bring together disaffected members of those parties, along with independents and others who feel alienated from the political system as it exists. And the best way to do this is by running on economic issues that unite us, but which neither major party is willing to address because they're both beholden to the same powerful corporate interests. The Democratic Party long ago abandoned the working class in favor of beating the drum on cultural issues, and now that's all the Democrats have to run on. So if
which he knows is a little bit of bullshit.
Voters are looking for a party running on trans rights and calling Donald Trump and his supporters white supremacists. They can already vote for Democrats. The role of a third party is to focus not on the identity politics that divide us, but on core economic issues that unite us along class lines, like Christian Smalls did at Staten Island. Do you think he led with LGBTQ, trans rights, and white supremacy, or do you think he organized along class lines?
Yeah, like, notice how, like, he's kind of phrasing this shit, by the way. He's trying to also do this, like, I'm holier than thou, by the way. There's a difference between not being able to run on something and not wanting to. Yeah, like, and that's also another thing. It's like the Democrats just simply don't want to because, in some part because, yeah, they're by a lot of the same broader corporate capital interests, yes, but like, the idea that, Democrats aren't willing to, at least more regionally, aren't willing to probably at least do some shit here and there, like, the idea that they don't is a little silly. Like, Midwest Democrats, like in Minnesota and Michigan, have been, like, kind of slaying out left and right a little bit. Like, there's been, different, occasions where, like, state-level Dems and some national-level elements of the Democratic Party, or at least, even within the current administration, that hasn't been just simply doing nothing or not wanting to, so to speak. So it's a little bullshit. Broadly, yeah, sure, of course. Like, plenty of things about the system, is, like, that they just simply don't want to change because they are not going to and don't want to. It benefits them too much. But that doesn't mean that they're just going to look at the entire fucking thing and be like, nah. But also to break to just because there's an outside party that's automatically making it immune from corruption. Yeah, the People's Party certainly got it's basically a grift and like kind of a corrupt organization. Libertarian Party, like the America First Party and shit. Like, these different groups are all very, genuinely pretty fucking corrupt. Like, even just, to some extent the Green Party, maybe not as much or nowhere near as much, but there's definitely local chapters of the Green Party that definitely are probably very likely corrupt too. Like, what is people actually thinking? They're going to be immune to bribery? Yeah, definitely not. If anything, they're probably just, if anything, maybe a little more culpable. Just because then they could just play the alternative and, and, like, gain recognition that way, but not actually be the alternative, but just, like, pipeline down to people into the mainstream bullshit. Which, that happens a lot. There was, like, the Tea Party movement with the Republicans, and arguably the Justice Dems when they were a thing with the Democratic side. So it's just like, I mean, if anything, like having alternative groups and shit, whether they're from within or without the system, alternatively, like they're more. If anything, I'd argue they could be just as, if not maybe even more susceptible to bribery and like corruption, and needs to be more vigilant, when it comes to that. Because with the duopoly, we already know that shit's corrupt. I mean, it's kind of a duh. But because of that, we always think third-party options just aren't, and that's bullshit. If anything, they're more likely to and are willing to play you for a fucking fiddle because of that. So it's definitely something you want to stay vigilant about.
That's what we...
Okay, well, I'm gonna pause there.
And also, just like his whole thing about the idea that Democrats strictly only talk about white supremacy or trans rights or something is also fucking retarded. There are plenty of Democrats out there, well, not plenty, but there's at least, various elements of just the progressive left and Democrats that do talk about pro-labor issues. I mean, hell, the current NLRB right now under Biden's administration is very fucking pro-labor right now. So, I mean, there's definitely, different elements and variables right now that aren't just, trans rights or fucking rights to privacy. Which, by the way, both those are fucking important. I don't know if you noticed, Jimmy. Because, trans rights, need to be, thriving and shit. And when it comes to white supremacists and far-right fascists, I don't know if you know, that tends to be a pretty big fucking issue. Especially when it's an actual rising, growing phenomena. So, I don't know. Those seem to be pretty important, too. Maybe not necessarily as important as, the broader economic issues that disparage people and maybe exacerbate certain issues like fascism and shit, but I mean, that's still a problem. That's still something that needs to be certainly addressed and definitely needs to be put more on the fucking front burner, to be honest. And then he ties in Chris Smalls being oh, see, this guy isn't doing that because he's a union advocate. He's a union agitator and an organizer for unionization. I mean, as far as he's concerned, he don't give a fuck if, someone happens to be white supremacist, trans, or anything else. If they're willing to join him in the union effort, be hey, you're a worker here? Cool. You want to join our union? Want to help us? Cool. That's probably about as far as it goes for him. There's probably a lot of other things that he wants to see happen and fight for and all this other shit. But as far as he's concerned, that's not his main thing. Unionizing Amazon is his main thing. And that's his main fucking focus. No shit, he's not going to be inherently focused on trans rights or white supremacy and all this other shit. He's going to be focusing on labor. Duh.
That makes sense.
It's just a weasel tactic that Jimmy's doing against Cornell to try to make him look bad, even though there's nothing inherently wrong with, Cornell's positions and what he's going to say, by the way. I mean, because Jimmy's trying to phrase it Cornell's just some sort of, Democrat in sheep's clothing, basically, or I guess a Green Party's clothing, and it's just, purposely trying to, undermine, leftist progressive advocacy, which is basically in Jimmy's, world now, basically being, left-leaning conspiracy theories about vaccines and pharmaceuticals and, COVID and shit. That's basically his fucking bread and butter these days. That and pro-Russia, fucking sipping too. I mean, maybe not overtly, but he's definitely a lot more sympathetic, to Russia in comparison to fucking Ukraine. He's certainly a lot more critical about Ukraine and in that whole war in comparison to Russia. So he's definitely a little bit more of a pro-Russian element. I don't think he's overtly paid by them by any means, but he certainly has got those fucking takes now. It's just ridiculous.
Whole thing about being trans people,
So this is who Evan's been watching. Evan? Wait, what? Evan Lefevre? I don't know if he watches Jimmy Dore or not. I actually don't really watch him that much, so I'm not... So I want to know. I want to know what his takes are about the whole thing about Ukraine and shit.
twice or three times. It gets so weird.
I mean, to be fair, I wouldn't necessarily take everything he has with a grain of salt. Yeah, because the anti-vax stuff. Yeah, because, well, to be fair, yeah. I mean, I don't know if this would be someone, maybe honestly, maybe someone like Russell Brand, because he also does this a little bit. There's a few others besides Jimmy Dore that do this. And honestly, people who have way bigger names, like Russell Brand. He's another one that does kind of this, anti-vax lib, progressive posturing bullshit. So he's not the only one. Jimmy ain't the only one. So if not Jimmy, he's probably heard it from, Russell Brand or somebody else.
Reading his statement
Yeah, he does.
Yes.
Because Jimmy can't do that. He has to read it. He doesn't know
It was
anything.
a script. It was a script. At least he needs to get like a teleprompter going because that was giving it that he was reading that, and it didn't. Yeah.
But I mean, and that's the thing is like he's trying to come at Cornell West, and he's not even prepared enough to actually look at the camera and talk directly. But he has to read from something he prepared earlier, and still manage to make himself look like an inept fool up against Cornell West. It's a fascinating moment. Fascinating.
I think that he knew that if you're going up against Cornell West, like, you can't miss, right? Because Cornell West, like, this is a very intelligent individual, so...
It very much is. You know, I'm not here for the commentary that much. I'm here for the clips. I'm mad at my own commentary, guys.
It's Cornell West, so Cornell West's response here, it's coming up, is impeccable.
What we have to do, you have to organize, meet people where they are. So what is your plan to organize along class lines, or are you going to keep talking about white supremacy and all those identity politics, which are there, not from the ground up, from the top down, to make sure we stay divided? What is your plan to organize along class lines?
Which, you know, like his whole thing from earlier, you know, trying to equivocate that the idea of, like, queer liberation or trans activism or... you know, is one, equivocal to something like white supremacy when it comes to, like, it being a cultural issue, and two, coming from the top down. So it's not something that, like, you know, people from the bottom up might, you know, generally feel. It's something that, like, the liberal establishment elite push. Which, that sounds a little interesting, don't you think?
Well, I appreciate again the clarity and candor of what you have to say. We have profound disagreements, brother. When I organize around white supremacy, I'm not making some utilitarian calculation.
Oh shit, dude. Dude, look at this quilt back here. Holy fuck, dude, that is a badass quilt, dude. Holy shit, that is awesome. I didn't even notice that the first time. That is cool. That is actually fucking cool.
I'm speaking as a black man who comes out of a tradition that's been terrorized and traumatized by white elites. And that does not in any way mean it takes me away from class issues. Class issues are crucial. Class issues are fundamental. But it doesn't mean that I'm putting up with white supremacy. One of the problems is that you get too many folk who want to talk class, and can't say a mumbling word about white supremacy, police brutality, can't say a mumbling word hardly. Or when they do say it, you call it identity politics as if it's not connected to class. I'm hitting these head on. Mm-hmm. I'm standing with the workers when it comes to...
Dude, look at him shaking his fucking head here. Like, look at Jimmy shaking his head. Like, I mean, Cornell's nailing it. Like, because it's absolutely fucking true. He treats these things as separated. Well, I mean, that's not really the biggest issue with him. But, I mean, if anything, he purposely treats it like that. Like, he's smart enough to know that these are connected. Like, when it comes to white supremacy... like when it comes to systemic racism, especially when it comes to like the marginalized black communities and black workers. I mean, like Jimmy's actually he's smart enough to know this shit. You know, he's not that fucking dude. He's not that dumb. Like, I mean, he might, you know, act like a abrasive like bag of rocks, but I mean, he's not that stupid. You know, so it's just like, I mean, I'm sure he knows that there are not like separated things. You know, like they are, at least, you know, to some extent can be, especially depending on, you know, one's background, can be genuinely, you know, inclusive of each other. Like, if you're a poor black person in this country, I mean, white supremacy does play a role in the whole class element of, you know, that person's life. I mean, absolutely. I mean, same thing for any other, like, minority, technically, like indigenous or Latino or otherwise, Asian. I mean, it's just like, these are, you know, like, you know, white supremacy and or systemic racism does play a fucking role in that. It just does. And to say otherwise is just stupid. I mean, not for everybody. I mean, you know, like, I want to argue like systemic racism, you know, plays an impact for me being a poor, you know, working class person because, well, I'm a white guy. If anything, I probably have had advantages from that. Very benign and little as they probably are at this point, especially for where I live in the Northwest. But, I mean, either way, it's like, that doesn't impact me. But, you know, the fact that it's there still and it does impact other fucking people, you know, means it's still a problem. It needs to be addressed. I mean, it's like, that's the whole point of, you know, not just, you know, racial consciousness, but also class consciousness, is also to recognize that there are other variables that exacerbate the exploitation that the working class feel, especially depending on their background and where they happen to live or who they are.
I'm standing with the workers when it comes to greedy bosses. I'm standing with the workers when it comes to obsession with profits and the needs not in any way being satisfied. But I'll never for a minute be silent or not raising my voice in terms of vicious treatment of black people, indigenous people, gay brothers, lesbians, sisters, or trans. It's not an either or. And that's where you and I have a deep, profound disappointment. So if I see, for example, if I watch your show and I notice you hardly say a mumbling word about white supremacy because it's some kind of identity politics and I'm against it, but I don't want to talk about it. I only want to talk about what people hold in common. Well, black people are not going to hold it in common if you don't say a word about white supremacy, but maybe some of your white friends will. So who are you talking about? You talking about in common?
Oh my gosh! Damn! Get him, Cornell, dude. He just fucked on Jimmy hardcore right there. This is why I want to watch this and see some of these highlights because these are fucking good.
Oh, what, my dear brother? I will never, ever in a million years not talk about vicious legacies of white supremacy, male supremacy, homophobia, transphobia, and others. But class will always be very much at the center. What brings you and I together is what? Our fundamental solidarity with...
Dude, Jimmy's all he's doing is looking at his little iPad to pull up some random little talking point or like some article to be like, actually though, nuh-uh.
Class is not just here but around the world. But oftentimes when I hear about your show and you say, well, you know, these identity politics issues get in the way. No, it's not 100%. Getting in the way. They're not getting.
And he says 100% they do. And no, they don't. What gets in the way are right-wing, far-right extremists that want to make it the forefront and try to like get in everyone else's way for their own, progress and well-being. That's the problem, not the fact that it is a thing.
They're used by the Democrats. That's all they have to run on. And when you say that stuff, you just
the caucasity.
That's where I got the caucasity of Jimmy Dore here, because it really is. It's just the caucasity of Jimmy Dore. The segment.
The caucasity of it.
The racism just ramping up too. He gets so much worse. So much more. Oh my god.
And yes, it does. It actually does. In fact, here. We'll just get going around a little bit because it actually does get worse. Hold on. They just kind of keep, they jibble jabble for a minute. They jibble jabble, jibble jabble, jibble jabble, jibble jabble, jabble jibble. Okay, here we go. Bada boom, bada bang, boom.
Really thinking realistically here. You're not. You're not.
Right.
It gets so much better.
You just sound like a Democrat because that's all they have. So if you
wrong. If the talk about the dignity of black people,
it's just called Jim Cornell's like, or not Jim Cornell. What the fuck? Cornell West just like, you're sounding like a Democrat over here. Yeah. Even though like, I mean, Cornell West isn't like one at all. I mean, if anything, he's always been pretty critical of him.
Makes me sound like a Democrat. You got the wrong earplug.
Okay.
You're not listening clearly. Because if you can't hear the critique of Wall Street, if you can't hear the critique of militarism, if you can't hear the critique of his foreign policy in Ukraine, and all you can hear when I talk about white supremacy is identity politics, then something's wrong with your earplug.
Look at Jimmy's face, by the way.
Something's wrong with you. We just have deep disagreement with that. But it is what it is. You are profoundly disappointing in that sense. I still love you, brother.
I still love you too. I know you. I don't disagree with what you're saying. I'm talking about having a campaign. I'm not. So
he doesn't even know what to say, dude. He's like, look, I don't disagree. Well, okay, say that. Look, it's like I like you, like, I just I'm just waiting for Cornell to be like, bitch, is you crazy? Dude, honestly, like, he kind of does a little bit. I mean, not like that, but he does kind of implicitly basically just say that.
Military calculation.
Pause for a second. Now, this is my first time watching this, so that's why I've been sort of just taking it all in quiet. But, like, right there was Jimmy Dore, the gears turning in his head. Oh, you could tell he still likes Cornell West. But his business model does not line up with that anymore.
Yep.
So he says that to placate
because his business model is basically being like one of these like pseudo-progressive, like anti-vax, anti-COVID, like, well, not maybe like anti-COVID, but like COVID skeptical, like conspiracy bullshit, and like, you know, pharmaceutical industry conspiratorialism. I mean, because like, I mean, this is at least, you know, a genuine fact, Betch. I mean, I know this a little bit about it because one time I saw him live back in like 2019 before he like completely fell off the you know, like the rails on this one. Like, I mean, one of his stories that he would tell a lot, at least when being critical to the healthcare industry, was the fact that, you know, he suffers for a lot of different health complications and has to deal with a bunch of bullshit insurance and all this, yada yada, you know, like pretty much like most Americans. But like, he's taken that, you know, genuine, you know, problem that is a major issue throughout the, you know, entire country for a lot of people, you know, because I forgot exactly what it was, but it was like, you had like some sort of like bone degenerative disorder of some sort or something like that. Yeah, I forgot exactly what it was, but, you know, a pretty serious, you know, horrible thing, honestly, for what it is. But, like, he, you know, because of that, he's pretty much like used that as like, you know, fuel for the fire of like this weird like vented conspiracy about like the healthcare industry. Which, granted, sure, there are like definitely some very critical things and, you know, some shit that is worthy of talking about when it comes to the healthcare industry, for sure. But, like, he's made it to the point of, like, things like vaccines, you know, could be, like, seen as, like, medical experience. Like, that's something that he actually says here at some point. Like, I mean, and, like, basically, you know, treats it as, you know, something more nefarious than it actually is. It's just generally kind of fucking unhinged. Like, I mean, it really isn't any better than, like, you know, some RFK Jr. shit, which also Jimmy has had on a show as well, and I've seen some of that, and he just basically, like, fondles, like, RFK Jr.'s balls the entire time.
West. Well, Cornel West is saying, you know, I love you, brother, and he feels like he has to say something to Cornel West, but then there's that moment where he goes, oh shit, how am I going to explain this to my listeners who are not going to be happy that I just said that to Cornel West?
I actually think that was his gears grinding to try to come up with a point, and he had none, because I think
it's both. It's definitely both. Like, he wants to try to, like, you know, placate to Cornell, but also have a talking point to rebuke him, and he really couldn't. He couldn't do both, and he was like, okay, I'm just gonna try to find something to rebuke you with later and let you keep talking. Like, that's basically what he decided to do. He decided to just give up.
Surface of who Jimmy Dore is really is an empty suit that says whatever who's going to pay him the most, you know, that's what he's going to say.
Which is his audience.
So when he's actually in a debate with someone...
Which, yeah, I mean, yeah, we get the broader point here. Watch more.
Are alienated. I'm telling the truth. I'm fighting for justice. And if people feel as if to talk about white supremacy is alienating, then they're going to be alienated. I'm talking about my mama. I'm talking about my daddy. This ain't no abstract dialogue about politics in the Machiavellian sense. Not at all, my brother.
When Bernie caught...
We march together for class politics. We march together because that's real. But if you think that talking about white supremacy is just identity politics, we got deep disagreement. That's all. So I'm sorry to go on, and you're very kind to let me go.
No, go right ahead. No, go right ahead. I don't. And honest, everything I'm saying here, coming from my heart, I want your campaign to succeed, and I want you to have the strongest campaign possible. But Bernie caught on because he would always, if he was given a cultural question or an identity politics question, he would always bring it back to class and economics. And it doesn't. Well, here I was talking to one of Bernie's campaign managers.
I mean, it's at least in some part kind of truth, and also the like Democratic Party establishment also like hyped up this whole idea that like, oh, you know, he, you know, is like a racist or a secret woman hater and blah blah blah. Like, I mean, they threw a lot of random shit at him, to be frank.
And this is what he said. Yes, I personally agree white supremacy is one of the causes. But if I lose two potential allies because they roll their eyes and stop listening before I get to their concerns, I've already lost. The civil rights advancements, women's rights, the environmental movement, they didn't happen because people like my dad voted Democrat because that stuff mattered to them. It happened.
He's just reading something, by the way. He's not actually having his own point.
Democrats appealed to them on economic issues, and a lot of the Democrats they voted for because of economics also happen to vote for that other stuff, and it doesn't work in the inverse.
Is it fucked up I imagine Bernie in a pimp suit? No, because I have imagined that every now and then when he's just like, just being a Chad. So
I'm just giving that to you.
No, I understand. But you can see again how this would be. Keep in mind, bro. Civil rights movement was not because of white folk doing X or Y. It was because there was a social movement led by black people in the South that was multiracial but led primarily by black folk, and neither party would have done anything without that social movement.
100% right. You're 100% right.
Which, by the way, if that's the case, that would mean that, cultural issues play a pretty significant role in those things, and wouldn't you think? But, that's just something that comes from the, top down, not from the bottom up, huh?
No doubt about it. And I think
that's my tradition.
No doubt about it.
How can you talk about?
I mean, motherfucker, Jesus Christ. They're... whatever.
I love to hear you talk about all that stuff, and that's good for a radical black activist who's representing his community. But I'm just trying to impress upon you that there's better ways to run a presidential campaign, and so that
he's fucking trying to explain how to run a campaign to Cornel West, and it's like, look, what you're doing would be good if you're a black activist in the hood or something, but if you're running a presidential campaign, it's like, what the fuck, dude? What are you saying, Jimmy? Dore, what in the fuck are you implying here? It's you see how when Lance said it kind of gets more racist, you see what he means? But wait, there's more. Billy Mays here with racism. You could get more with, if you order now with $19.95 plus shipping and handling. It's just oh God. That's literally what's happening. It's just but wait, there's more. Because that's what's happening. It wasn't really that noticeable up until here. This is where it gets noticeable. It's what you're doing would be good if it was a black activist, in the Bronx or something, basically. But if you're a presidential campaign, you need, be a little bit more, economic and chill out on that or something. I don't know.
The caucasity, brother.
The caucasity.
Listen, I need you all to vouch for me for 1 second because there's a lot of white people who think I don't have white friends. And I like to consider all of you white friends.
We are his white friends.
Yes, we are friends.
Yes. I love everyone.
Yes, I'll use my white place for this one. Yeah. It's true. It is true.
This is the greatest
oh my God, Lance has genuinely that was probably literally the most nerdiest, whitest voice I think I've ever heard in my life. Holy fuck, that was actually kind of surreal how the embodiment of just a nerdy just angsty weird little white oh my God, that was just that was impeccable. If I imagined the Diary of a Wimpy Kid's voice, that would be it. Holy fucking shit. I'm actually impressed by that.
Of white supremacy and for the nerve of him to try to lecture Cornel West and then to minimize the fight for liberation to being a radical black activist, looking out for our community. No, Negro, I'm sorry, you're not even good enough to be a Negro, Jimmy Dore. I would call you what you are, but black issues have blessed every single corner of this country, and I would argue this planet. Black Americans specifically, what we got in the Civil Rights Act blessed white women. Affirmative action blessed white women. We blessed the LGBTQ fight. So there's literally nothing about the black fight, the radical tradition of black people that's ever limited to the black community. But he would not understand that because he himself, Jimmy Dore, is steeped in white supremacy, and it's shown right there.
And he's also not wrong, by the way, when he says that, because maybe a little preachy about it, but he's not wrong though. When it came to the activism within the civil rights movement, what was at least in some part, played pretty heavy hand in hand was with like queer liberation and also with like working class solidarity. In fact, MLK's speech when he had the "I Had a Dream" speech, that was done at a labor rally specifically, like in the whole civil rights movement. So it's like there's a lot of crossover when it comes to a lot of these issues, like second wave. Feminism came around during that time as well. So it's like it was a major like overarching like major encompassing thing that did help uplift other movements that in a way were not just inspired but also were not, and at least in some levels, not necessarily like uplifted but also uplifted each other and like uplifted themselves because of that, due to that inspiration and due to the activism that was being done. Not to mention culture. Can you imagine what American music would be like if we didn't, let's say, borrow from black people? Shudder. God, yeah. I'm out here out in the field and I'm by the river Joe, chugging on my moonshine, praising God, loving Jesus, going in my F-150. It'd basically be that shit. Like, oh God. Just get like some dude on a like fucking like mouth harp, and then you got like some guy on a banjo in the background just mumbling off random lyrics. Oh Jesus Christ. I mean, in fairness though, there's at least like some of that music back in the day where it was genuine like outlaw like labor country and shit like that. I mean, like some music that is kind of like that type of music. I don't know why I put quotations over that, but you get my but like I mean with that type of music, there's actually a lot of different country artists from back in the day, from like the 50s, 60s and 70s that tied in a lot of like civil rights and like labor activism and shit, like Hazel Dickens, who else, fucking Utah Phillips, Hank Williams, and then like fucking Wheeler Walker's a more modern contemporary one. There's also like Pete Seeger, obviously, and then fucking Woody Guthrie's an older one, from back in like the 20s, 30s, and the 40s and shit. So I mean, like you could find that shit. It's out there. I mean, but it's just like that root and heart of what that music was really like kind of transcended into what was blues, which a lot of that was, as you're mentioning, was interwoven with a lot of black music culture. And I mean, even to a certain extent, like some of that country was slowly but surely kind of morphing into that anyway. But it became a lot more prominent when a lot of black musical culture from like the South, from New Orleans, from places like New York and shit, and Chicago, like a lot of these places, made a very strong, especially in places like in the South and like New Orleans, like this very strong blues sound that was very interwoven into things like country and jazz and even elements of rock too, and just kind of had, I mean, and a lot of the roots of that were just like about like how the average working man and like how he gets stomped down, kind of quashed out, having to move from town to town and like fending off yourself with a can of beans basically and shit, just that type of shit. I mean, it's a lot of original blues is rooted in a lot of that type of shit. It kind of has like a soft underbelly of like kind of country interwoven to it a little bit, just because, at least thematically, at least with the more outlaw nature of it. Without other influences around, we just think we had our music, the music we had. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we wouldn't notice just because that music that we would have would just be the norm. But I'm guessing he's implying that if we grew up like knowing what we could have had, or I guess what we have now, and just knowing that fact and be like, damn, this is music we would have if this was interwoven or borrowed or appropriated or whatever, it's just like, I mean, like, which, I mean, to be fair, I mean, to us, it would just sound just like the music we're always into, basically. It would just be different music at that point. There. Kind of skip more of their commentary. Not that I want to, like, skip over all their shit, but, I mean, I just want to get to the juice of the Jimmy clip. Oh, here. I think they skipped to the more racist part or near the end, which is also where the COVID shit comes into play, by the way.
Hey, rewind it a little bit right before he leaves. So maybe past this because
I think we're near it actually, like 2 minutes.
Because this is when Jimmy gets especially
Yeah.
racist.
Okay.
He starts like saying that he like
I'll
doesn't
just
care
play it, 'cause I think it's 2
about
minutes
civil
more,
rights and
Wait,
stuff.
hold on.
Like,
This is where Jimmy gets especially.
Yes.
oh yeah, but he ramps up the racism.
Like, not only did he just like try to lecture Cornel West about, you know, basically his black activism and being a major philosopher and, you know, in a way, maybe not directly, but like kind of a teacher in a sense, you know, for a lot of people and a mentor for a lot of people. I mean, it's just like, I mean, he's lecturing that guy, the black man, about, you know, like cultural issues, economics, and how to, like, you know, cross all dirty boundary lines and civil rights and shit. It's like the actual caucasity of your white ass, and you're about to get even more racist. It's like, God, no, stop. But no, it gets better. Well, worse, but better.
just wait.
Can you say that certain countries have shitty music because of their excessive homogeneity? I'd probably say that maybe like Saudi Arabia generally probably has shitty music. Because it's probably mostly has to do with either worshiping the state or worshiping God or something. So, I mean, you know, I'm sure you can cherry pick and nitpick, but, you know, like, yeah. But that's just cherry picking at that point. I mean, I guess if we're gonna, like, you know, yeah, probably, or North Korea. Yeah, North Korea, yeah. I mean, what else? I was gonna say Russia, but no, I mean, you know, honestly, Russia historically, like, there's been, like, kind of an underground music scene in Russia, like, even during the Cold War. There's actually pretty cool history about, like, the Soviet punk scene during the 70s and 80s. It's actually pretty fucking cool. But, so, I was gonna say that, but nah. You know, yeah, you could really only pick, like, two. Like, maybe, like, three, but who would be the third? Like, the Sentinelese, I guess? Because they would basically just have whatever they have going on there. And there's only, like, 50 of them left, so I guess they're not technically a country, but I guess... Yeah, that's about it. I don't know. Yeah, that's pretty much about as far as I think it goes.
For a black radical activist, that's great. That's honey. But for someone who's trying to appeal to...
That's honey? At least he didn't... Oh, my God. You know what? I'm really glad he didn't say that it's like Hennessy or like watermelons or something. I mean, you know, honestly, the only way that would be, this whole thing would be more racist if he said some shit like that. I swear to God. Like, I'm honestly kind of glad he just said honey and that was it. But I still feel like there's some weird racial shit involved with that. Like, honey? Why? Whoever invented yodeling? Yes, I mean, yodeling, I don't know. I like to see it done in a weird way. Like, I want to see it interwoven into a genre no one would expect. Like, I want to see that shit, like, interwoven into, like, a metal song or something. I want to see yodeling done pretty awesomely and epically. Yodeling? I can't do it. I mean, that's probably, you know, the closest I'm going to get. Like, because it's like, there's a whole technique to it. Yodeling? Yeah, my throat's a little too raspy for it. I just kind of sound like a broken record. I thought it was just for mountain climbing. Isn't it? I think the origins of it, I think, are technically for, like, you know, whatchamacallit, like, for communication, you know, but I'm not too sure. I don't know much about the whole yodeling thing. Alphorns are cool. Oh, dude, Alphorns are pretty badass.
Swath of people, disaffected Republicans, independents, people. That's a death for that campaign. That's my opinion. That's just...
Well, yeah, we'll have to see, but keep in mind, though, brother, that...
I like how Jimmy also kind of implied that, like, disaffected Republicans and independents, you know, like, when it comes to, like, certain issues like civil rights or, like, activism, you know, when it comes to, like, you know, trans rights, queer rights, or, like, black rights and stuff like that, or going against white supremacy and, you know, fascism and extremism like that. Like, it's just kind of implying, like, oh, that's just a death nail for those type of people. Like, implying that, you know, like what? Like, they don't, you know, agree being against that type of shit, or maybe, you know, being an advocate for those things. Like, I mean, what's that implying?
one, I've never ever said.
Like, Jimmy's just implying a lot of weird shit, you know, when it comes to his random rant, because it has to basically, like, because if you made him explain himself, he would just go on weird, disjointed rambles. Like, because, I mean, he has to just, like, you know, say some random shit to try to make his point sound concise, even though it doesn't really mean much. Like, yeah, there's a lot of, you know, independents and disaffected Republicans who are obviously right-wing and shit. But, what, you don't think they can't be won over on certain cultural issues? Because, I mean, just from my experience, there's definitely been people who would consider themselves, like, independents or more, like, Republican-leaning, and certainly have agreed with various different issues on these fronts. So, and also, yeah, at least, you know, for the ones I've talked to, aren't racist or anything, and are definitely okay with, you know, challenging or critiquing, you know, racist shit, whether systemically or just, like, overt racist shit that people do. So, I mean, you know, it's not like it's unsellable. Granted, it's from my experience being up here in the PNW. Results may vary, but I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like the weird implication that these are just unsellable or just unattainable whatsoever, just because they're like mentioned, is really fucking silly. Because I mean, these are conversations that can easily be had and it can be done. It's like, it's not impossible.
All of the followers of Brother Trump.
I mean, it's like the idea that, like, you know, basically the only thing that people can, like, you know, understand is, like, economic class issues, you know, like, it's just not true. I mean, you know, like, that's not the only thing people get. I mean, there's plenty of other issues and plenty of other things that people understand and, you know, or maybe don't totally get, but are at least aware of.
I said he's a neo-fascist Pied Piper. His followers, 1 out of 8 went with Bernie, 1 out of 12 went with Barack Obama. He's got a heterogeneous, diverse group, and I can speak my language of truth and justice as it connects to capitalism, imperialism, white supremacy, male supremacy, transphobia, whatever it is. And there's going to be some people who listen, and there's going to be some people who don't. But this is not just a question of political calculation and Machiavellian reflection, brother. This is about the quest for truth and justice. You got to be real. You got to be authentic. I'm not listening to consultants who tell me to use this particular kind of language.
Dude, I love it when he goes, dude, I love it when Cornell kind of gets a little flustered like this a little bit. I mean, fuck Jimmy for making them all like that, frustrated, but I kind of like it. I don't really need to see Cornell like this. But he kind of goes in like this, you know, he kind of gets in this, like, kind of, like, disgruntled, like, old man vibe that I really like. I mean, I kind of like it. I mean, I generally do. Like, I mean, for him to go off at, like, Bernie, or not Bernie, Jesus Christ, like, on Jimmy like this is pretty fucking funny.
Kind of language of that group, that is the essence of man.
I want to see it. It brings the energy, that's for sure. Dude, he does. This is why I like Cornell. I mean, I mean, maybe like this. I mean, I know a lot of our leftists agree, but I mean, I feel like he probably would have done a little better if he did run as a Democrat. I mean, you know, yeah, the thing is, it's, you know, I get why he's not, just because, like, in a sense, I mean, they're not, like, you know, holding primaries, and, you know, you have Marianne there already, but, like, she hasn't really popped off that much lately. I mean, right now he has. So, I don't know, like, it's just one of those things where he definitely would have probably fared better doing that, but either way, like, I mean, for him to, you know, at least, you know, be pushing his shit and getting himself on that, you know, at least trying to push, you know, that, you know, as much as possible and put that pressure out there, it's still good nonetheless. I still at least respect that. Yeah. I mean, there are some, like Vosh, that just think that, you know, Cornell's just kind of being stupid right now, you know, running in the Green Party and shit, and I'm just like, I just think it's too dismissive. Like, I mean, the pressure that, you know, for a more significant voice like Cornell, you know, I think is, you know, something that can be helpful and useful. I mean, I think, you know, he's somebody that can at least, you know, understand that. What if third-party candidates somehow want to say how would their relationship to Congress work, who would still be Dems and Rebs? Yeah, I mean, in a way, that would probably, you know, shift the paradigm a little bit, and, you know, there might be a little bit of a rift, at least, you know, if it was like, you know, a Green Party candidate, probably within the Democratic side, and if it's a Libertarian, maybe on, you know, the Republican side. So, I mean, I don't know how big that would be. Arguably, I think you might see it more so with the Dems, of like with some progressives, and with some, like with some Dems, like, you know, like AOC or something. But I really don't know, like, how, like, how significant that would be. But either way, like, they would have to work with the Democratic Party, especially at least more predominantly. So realistically, I mean, the idea of a third party won't necessarily bring some massive, insane, radical change. I'm sure it'll definitely, do a lot of, change for sure. But, I mean, it's one of those things where, like, you still have all these, like, elements of the establishment that are going to be roadblocks and obstructions in place, that are going to try to prevent a lot of this radical change regardless. I mean, so so even if that is the case, there's only so much that, a Green Party or even a Libertarian Party president could do. Like, they might be able to get some shit done. I mean, but nowhere near enough to where it would be like full-on radical fundamental change. I mean, well, maybe not fundamental. There, I think arguably would be at least some fundamental change, but like I said, maybe not near enough to really, like, get shit massively reformed like it should.
I'm not listening to consultants who tell me to use this particular kind of language and this kind of language with that. That's managerial bourgeois politics.
Oh my God.
So
I just gotta pause it because it's amazing how Cornel West throws that back in his face. Like,
oh, by the way, notice this: Cornel West does a 45-minute commercial for Joe Biden. That's how Jimmy Dore titles his fucking video.
Jimmy Dore is the one where it's like, listen to the consultants, like in his mind, like the consultants that he would listen to. Whereas like Cornel West is being authentically himself.
Right.
It's great. Is this? Are you playing Jimmy Dore's version of this?
This is off his site, so does it come up again?
Okay, because I didn't realize the title at first. Cornel West does 45-minute commercial for Joe.
Oh my God. Dude, they just noticed that. I mean, Matt Bennett was the first one to notice it, but oh my God, dude. I mean, for real. Dude, I mean, is that just retardedly comical? Like, I mean, oh my, it's so insane. Like, Jesus Christ. A commercial for, I would have thought like Trump or something, no Jimmy's politics, but Joe Biden out of all things. Like, good Lord, bro.
Wow.
Get the fuck out of here.
What a baby. Holy shit.
I know, they want that as clickbait. They want that to be.
It's clickbait, though. Yeah.
This is what they want, right? This is what he wants. Okay, clickbait, whatever. But coming at Cornel West like this, now, we did come at Cornel West a few times when, in the last few months. You can see it on Olay's page. We read him, right? Because we like to see him in his natural element. And this is his natural element. This is what he does. He makes sure he doesn't have to do much because he's been doing this work for so long. Jimmy Dore has been sitting here. He's one of, I like to call these, I say other things, but this ain't that type of show. But men with microphones. These people with microphones who sit here.
I kind of wonder what her specific idea of, I want to know what she calls them. I really do.
They will just be on the mic.
I know Mike Figueredo wants to call Ben Shapiro the F-slur really hard. Like, he's mentioned it so many times.
Is this to offer? There's nothing else.
But you know what? Mike's right, though. He is.
Who he's speaking to actually fought the fight. Who he's speaking to has actually walked the walk. Who he is speaking to has gone through this. He just didn't get up one day and feel like maybe I should start saying I'm for the people and get on this mic and not be for people and start.
Well, you know what? Well, I as Jimmy Dore think, that would work good if you're in like some black neighborhood as some black activist. But as a presidential candidate, that's probably not something you should do. That's just my opinion as some dumbass white boy.
Promoting.
So how about nuh-uh for you, good madam?
Things that are not helpful to the movement, but still say I'm a part of the movement. How can you trust that? So I don't know what he thought he was going to get in this moment. These are people that will bring people like Dr. Cornel West on here to try to make a moment out of it. Get this viral clip about how he got one of the most influential people who speak on the behalf of marginalized people, and he made him fumble in his work. Which
honestly he really didn't, though. I mean, to be fair, they didn't look at the entire thing, but I mean, I really doubt Cornel West fumbles his words.
It was somebody who is going to he don't stand.
I mean, he kind of mumbles them a little bit, but that's just kind of, I think just his age. Just how he speaks. I mean, it's whatever.
Right beside his word. He's going to stick right beside
I still understand what he's saying.
He's unmoved.
Honestly, he kind of reminds me of how Robert used to speak. uncle that used to live here and shit before he passed. Like, he honestly kind of reminds me of his speaking mannerisms a little bit. So in a weird way, it actually makes it easy to understand him because of that. I'm watching a new Candyman recently, and the main character makes a great point how poor, mainly black communities are cut off and left to rot. Yeah, I mean, which is kind of a commentary about things like redlining and how impoverished communities, especially black communities and minority communities, tend to be redlined and essentially become the more quote-unquote like darker side of town, or like on the other side of the railroad, so to speak. It's where that shit comes from. Marginalized. Wait, did I say something else? Did I say like marriage? Did I say something different? But yeah, I mean, no. Oh, okay. But yeah, but like, I was just saying that. Oh, okay. But yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, okay. Maybe confused. I thought I missed up my words. But yeah, I mean, it's what essentially is like what that's commentating though. It's how those marginalized communities, especially black communities, tend to be like cut off entirely from like a lot of different progress or like funds and shit like that, and essentially are left to rot, and that's where a lot of crime and stuff and a lot of gang violence comes from, because they're essentially left to fend for themselves. And because of that, like, you have different neighborhoods that will get together, essentially gangs basically, and sometimes they end up getting rival with other neighborhoods, and that's where a lot of violence tends to come from and shit. And instead of actually properly addressing that shit, they basically use a lot of funds and attacks from the city to essentially do heavy policing there. So not only are they basically left to rot and are cut off, they're also heavily suppressed and oppressed by having a bunch of fucking jackbooted police thugs, goose stepping and driving around their fucking neighborhoods, when it comes to anything that might be happening, while not actually trying to do anything to uplift them. So basically continuing to force the same reciprocal cycle. America, baby.
This is what he believes and this is what he does. Jimmy Dore, on the other hand, we saw him get stuck.
I get the feeling people who didn't like the movie thought it was too woke, but other than coming across a tad preachy, nothing the character says is wrong. Sure. And honestly, like, I mean, I guarantee the reason why they thought it was woke is just because, like, oh my god, there's, like, some, like, like, lefty commentary, or maybe, like, a black character, or, like, a female character, or something. It's like, oh my god. I mean, basically what they think is woke is just, like, movies that, make you think a little bit, or, like, have, like, a woman on it or something. It's like, good lord.
We saw him not know what to respond, and that's how you know these people aren't real. Jimmy Dore is not real. He's not a real person. He really does not care about issues. So, like, I don't know what he thought he was going to get out of this, but what's happening right now, what we're doing right now, is just showing we are laying down, going through, breaking down who he really is for those people who can't see it.
Jimmy,
which, if anyone doesn't see it yet, I feel really bad for them. Like, because honestly, I saw that shit basically as soon as 2020 rolled around. Because as soon as Jimmy Dore started saying some weird shit about, like, COVID and, like, the vaccines, I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then I just noticed that, like, slowly but surely, like, his audience started getting way more right-wing, and I'm just like, alright, obviously, he gave up on, what he was doing inside the grift. And honestly, especially these days, made me realize he probably was just doing that all along. He just, like, had the money dry up when he, couldn't do the left populist grift anymore as much. So, that's probably is what the fuck happened. I'm just like, you fucking son of a bitch. I mean, honestly, what really pisses me off about it is that, like, I mean, it's like, that energy that he has, it's like, it's not even bad. It's why, I liked him initially. It's at least when he was more of a left populist, because, like, that energy, like, I thought, and I think still is needed. And yet he just decided to take advantage of it and basically disrupt, any genuine use of that fucking energy, which, like, really honestly just, like, fires those logs up in me more, just because, like, damn it, like, this isn't where, like, this angsty, aggressive leftist energy is supposed to be going to. Like, it's supposed to be going into, like, genuine activism, like things like Cornell's talking about, or, like, or, like, people that, like, Jimmy Dore was mentioning, like, for maliciously, like, people like Christian Smalls and shit. Like, that type of fucking energy, is what's fucking needed. This one service reminded me of crazy person thrashing in a straight jacket, yelling, "Woke, woke, woke! The end is nigh! The end is nigh!" Yeah, because they pretty much are. You can blame Reagan for destroying the, mental health care institutions. They weren't great by any metric, but instead of doing massive structural reform, he decided to just, cut government a bunch, and Reaganomic gets way out of it and just destroy it. So now we got a bunch of crazy running around without any way to actually properly treat them. So yay, that's great. You want to see the more insane shit that he said?
It looks like
it's the last little bit.
And Cornel West does not look happy.
Cornel starts ranting about like how Jimmy only cares.
I like how David's like, "Oh, hey, Cornel does not look happy." He absolutely ruined it by solidifying the idea of healthcare as a for-profit industry. For Jimmy, yeah. And, because the thing is, like, the American healthcare industry is, but, like, the idea that, like, healthcare entirely, including globally, too, and, like, internationally, as nothing more than for-profit is silly. Because if that's the case, then all these other Western countries, like, the UK, Germany, etc., and all these other places, they would have private healthcare, wouldn't they? But they don't. So it's like, that's where it also falls apart. This is unique. I mean, the healthcare in America is uniquely an American problem. Like, and that's another thing about Jimmy. He wants to make it like some more broader international conspiratorial cabal. And it's like, if that's the fucking case, then why isn't that the case for every other country? Why don't they have fucking privatized healthcare then? Because if it's like some big international thing, then all these other countries would have a very similar healthcare system to us, wouldn't they? But they don't, so it's like, and honestly, I think the UK, I think there are some, like, people in Parliament or, like, in the PMs or something. I think there are legitimately some Tories, like, playing around with the idea of privatizing the NHS. So it's like the UK is kind of, like, the closest thing you could say is, like, the UK is, like, slowly but surely, like, collapsing, basically. So it's like, I mean, there's that, but that I don't really think that's due to some cabal outside of just the UK just being a turd. So I don't know. Like, there's just nothing to go with that.
Vaccines and other nonsense. He just rips him fucking apart.
Right, let's try
this. Injectable treatments be mandated or coerced individuals.
That's what good they have going. And even did it, like, it's only good if you're not trans or autistic or anything like that. Like, for me, the NHS would be horrible. Because they basically see autism as a mental illness and something that needs to be, like, cured or treated versus, like, just seeing it as just a neurodivergency and shit. And then they just simply see genderism as, like, not a thing. There's plenty of fucking problems with the NHS when it comes to certain things. But, even with that, that's pretty much the only thing they have going for them. And even then, they fuck it up a lot.
Should be allowed to protect and heal themselves in a manner that best supports their medical spiritual beliefs. So,
fuck your spiritual beliefs if it, goes against, societal contract of make sure that people don't get sick. Like, honestly, I hate this whole religious spiritual exemption when it comes to, like, healthcare shit. Unless it's, like, something that is just, like, specific to you and your doctor, fuck it, I don't care. But if it has to do with, like, the broader, societal health, like, if a pandemic is happening, or, like, or when it comes to, like, a polio shot or some shit, or whatever the fuck, like, fuck your religious exemption. Like, that shit should genuinely be, like, a part of, like, the social contract of shit like that, because that's, like, being inoculated is, like, and being able to be vaccinated is how we I don't know, prevent crazy fucking horrible diseases from spreading. Like, I mean, like, there are unique, like, outbreaks in places like in Portland and Seattle and shit, of measles, because of these fucking exemptions. So fuck that shit. Like, I mean, I don't want, like, a bunch of kids getting fucking measles because some crazy religious Christian foo-foo hippie fucking thinks that vaccines, ain't gonna do anything but prayer healing will. Or, like, crystals is gonna do something for that. Fuck that shit.
I just wanted to, I don't understand why you aren't.
I'm still very fucking consistent about that issue, even without fucking the pandemic going on. Like, I'll still hold that fucking thing. I mean, get the dart squads out. I don't give a fuck. Like, I still got that take. I'll still hold that position.
By that, do you share the sentiment of the Black Caucus of the Green Party, and have you talked to them?
Well, one thing, it's good to have a Green Party where you have a variety of different voices that are clashing, and the tensions are very real. I think there's no doubt that the pharmaceutical company has played a disproportionate role in shaping public policy. I think the kind of concerns that you and RFK Jr. and others have certainly are well grounded in that sense. On the other hand, we know there's been a whole host of vaccines in regard to other kinds of illnesses that are much more effective. The question becomes making sure, and one of the things I want to do, I want to have a truth commission to find out exactly what was the level of corruption that took place during these years, be able to see not just the text, we know the books are out there, but to have a truth commission so that we can see what voices were marginalized, what voices were pushed aside, and make sure it never happens again.
Look at Jimmy being like, yay, you're confirming my biases, yay. Even though Cornell really isn't. I mean, he's just kind of saying, like, yeah, let's just kind of have, like, you know, a truth commission to be like, hey, if there was corruption, where was it, and blah, 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 like, you know, but fair enough. Like, I'm not even really inherently against what he's talking about there.
With the spirit.
Like, wasn't there also, like, some international investigation on, like, Wuhan anyway? You know, that's, you know, kind of, at least kind of, you know, adjacent to what he was kind of talking about there. I mean, so, I mean, I'm not against it, but, I mean, I don't, you know, just because of that, I don't think there's, like, some cabal or some shit. Though, you know, I do think, you know, to try to get to the bottom of how it all started, sure. I mean, whatever. I'm not against it.
But my Green black brothers and sisters are the same, but the Green Party itself does allow this kind of disagreement and so on. But I'll say this though, brother, I know I got to go, but I must say, you see, this is where you and I do in some ways live in different worlds, because as crucial and as important as the issue of vaccines and the COVID situation was, when you say that's probably the most important issue in your lifetime or in the last 25 or 30 years in light of all the wars, in light of what Palestinians are going through.
Oh my god, he looks like the Grinch. Dude, he went from like, yay, to just like looking like the Grinch, dude. Because he just, as soon as like he switched tune, dude, oh my god.
What workers are going through, 63% of them are living paycheck to paycheck.
Oh my god. I mean, it also knows this, like, you know, Cornell said this isn't the most important thing. He's just saying, why is this, like, the most important thing when there's a lot of other bigger issues at hand? Like, he's just saying that to him. And Jimmy's getting all flustered and be like, looking like the Grinch, like Jim Carrey's Grinch, like,
all the vicious attacks of the police and the murders and so.
Look at him. He's pulling up random articles. Like, look, dude, look at him. He's primed and ready to go, dude. He's like about ready to pull that trigger. It's like, listen, cowboy. Shaboom! I got a card up my sleeve. I got a card up my. Oops. I got a card up my sleeve you don't even suspect, brother. And it's from Bloomberg. You know, Bloomberg. It's Michael Bloomberg, the billionaire. Fuck. Yeah, like, you know, that guy.
Yet this vaccine issue is the most important thing. I say, okay, that's my dear brother Jimmy. He's got a right to raise his voice. I'm not going to in any way push it away, but I just live in a different world. As important as vaccines have been, if I had another chance, I'd be leaning much more with the Black Caucus. But when I think of the weightiest issues, vaccines does not come immediately to mind. It just doesn't. That's the kind of world we live in, brother.
Okay.
Maybe I spend, you know.
Well, here it is. The black business owners collapsed by 41%. Black business because of lockdowns. Do you care yet?
Well, no,
70,000 workers.
Do you care yet?
In one state were fired because of vaccine mandates. When are you going to care? Do they all have to be trans? When are you going to care about these?
Dude, the fuck? Like, oh, when are you gonna care? Like, you know, 41% of black businesses, you know, were shut down permanently because of the lockdowns. Oh, like, a fuckload of people, like, were fired because of the mandates. Oh, do they have to be trans? Do they have to be this? Like, dude, like, what the like, unhinged. Like, actually, like, which, by the way, this is what I mean, like, this is, like, his shtick now, is this whole, like, COVID vaccine conspiracy shit. Like, this is his shtick. He always goes back to that. Like, I mean, like, this is his thing now. Like, the very, very few times you know, that, you know, I've, like, seen him over the last few years. This is basically has been his shtick ever since, you know, 2020. This shit. Like, I mean, and it's just so fucking pathetic, and it just fucking irks me. And it kind of pisses me off a little bit, just because, like, I used to, like, appreciate the energy and, like, some of the takes that he would have from, like, 2016 to 19 abouts, like, and when I, you know, was aware of him a little bit, because I first found him from, like, I think it was, you know, the aggressive progressive host back in the day on TYT and shit, and then, you know, he got canned and all that. So, I mean, and I just decided to, you know, watch a show, you know, on my own, you know, after that, you know, like, you know, so, like, you know, I, like, there was a time where I actually, like, watched this dude for a bit. Went to a live show, you know, when he went to Portland back in February of 2019. Like, a whole year before fucking COVID started. Like, that's actually how I met Bitterly Fridge and fucking Ben from DP, because they happened to be at that show, too. And, fucking, oh my god, what's his name? Jeff Holiday, I think, because he lives in Eugene, Oregon, so he will come up to Portland sometimes. And, you know, he happened to be there, too, so I got a chance to meet those guys. Mostly talked to Billy, though. Because Jeff and Ben were already kind of in the middle of their own conversation, so I was like, I won't disrupt their convo. I'll talk to Billy, because he's just kind of hanging out here. So, which Billy is just, like, one thing I will say, he's, like, fucking, like, 7'9" or something, dude. Like, I'm 6'2", and he's, like, he's, like, literally a head and shoulders taller than me. He's, like, this tall in comparison to me. Like, he's genuinely, like, a giant. Like, and that was, like, and he's lost a lot more weight since I've seen him, you know, like, genuinely in person at one time. So I imagine he's, like, more skinnier and just like, still looks like a gigantic unit. Wait, there's a place in Oregon called, Eugene, Oregon. Yeah. Yeah, and directly next to it is Springfield, Oregon. And north of it is Salem, and then north of that is Oregon City, and then Portland. And I'm nestled in between all that. Yeah, it's in the Willamette Valley. If you go, like, on Google Maps, look at the Willamette Valley, like, you'll see Portland, you'll see Salem, and you go down a little bit, you'll see Eugene. It's about the same distance from Florida to Cuba. And it's about, like, a 2-hour some drive. It's a really nice drive. It's a really, really beautiful drive. Guys, want to go to Eugene? Ew, no. Actually, yes. It's a stoner town. In a university town. A University of Oregon's there. I've actually been to Eugene a bunch of times when our basketball team went to state, because we played at the St. Matthews Stadium in Eugene, Oregon, at the University of Oregon. It's not a bad little spot. Actually, one of my former coworkers had his last day not too long ago and is moving to Eugene and is going to work over there. Might reconsider. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you might want to reconsider. Like, Eugene's a weird little quirky town, dude. You got, like, a bunch of weird little, like, hippie stoner bro guys that live there, you know, that are kind of quirky and strange, but you also got, like, you know, the university college kids. I mean, it's kind of a weird little town. A little diverse, strange little town, but it's a cool spot. Eugene's pretty cool. My brother used to host a radio show way back in the day until basically, like, unironically, like, some Me Too allegations happened with that shit. I honestly don't know if it's true or not. I mean, all things considered, it probably is, because from what I remember, his show is basically like a jock bro, raunchy edgelord show. So, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily be too surprised. I just don't know how far that ever really went. He says, you know, everyone understood, you know, like, the merits of the show and understood, like, the, you know, things that would happen. So the dude that sued him, you know, he, you know, said it wasn't really under any merit because of, like, the fact that he, like, contractually understood and knew what the fuck, you know, the whole show was about. So it's a long story, but it's kind of the TLDR version of it. I'm a little more inclined to think that, you know, I don't know, he probably might have took things too far, you know, got a little too comfortable, you know, I think, and probably just took shit too far and didn't really, like, listen to potential criticisms and just thought, oh, nah, you're just being a bitch. Come on, quit freaking out over it, bro. But I have no idea. It was years and years ago. what do you think about Nike closing a store in Portland? Nike was found in Portland, so I think it's crazy. I don't really, like, have strong feelings one way or the other on it. I mean, like, it just kind of seems like they're using it as an excuse to cut costs, I feel like, you know, more than anything. Like, you know, like saying like, oh, because of, you know, theft or this and that or lack of sales or whatever, you know, whatever excuses they might have. I just kind of feel like that's just kind of an excuse to just cut costs and, you know, like just, you know, like, you know, be a way to make a, like, just kind of make up for whatever potential like loss of revenue they might have had. Like I said, I don't really have strong feelings one way or the other on it. Oh, right here. It was finished, so we're almost done with this, by the way.
What are you going to care about? What are you going to care about this?
They have to be trans for me to care.
You don't care. You don't care. Why don't you care about this?
Why would you accuse me? Of course I care about it. I'm saying that.
Why would you accuse me? Of course I can. Damn.
It's not important.
I didn't say it wasn't important. I said it was not the most fundamental issue in my lifetime the last 30 years.
Forced medical experiments? Forced medical experiments? The Tuskegee?
You're saying he has a narrow mind, dude.
Oh my God.
So, dude, he mentioned the fucking, like, Tuskegee experiments trying to be like, hey, like, dude, like, he's flopping around like a fish trying to be like, do anything to be like, hey, why don't you care? Fuck you, basically.
Story, and you're not interested in getting it right.
Agree with Jimmy Dore,
so you missed the story, and you're not interested. Well, Dr. West, I wish you the best.
Like, in the middle of all this rant and, like, Jimmy's soy rant, like, cringe, like seething, like, you basically, like, Rose, like, when you're saying, I kind of hope that Cornell says, bitch, you crazy, like, he was basically saying that there. It's like, oh, you basically have to just agree with Jimmy, or you can't, you know, like, be, like, caring about this and that. Like, he basically was just doing that in the middle of all of it. I don't know if you were hearing it, but he kind of went off and basically said, bitch, you crazy.
You know I love you. You know I support
you and your precious wife and you stay strong, though, brother.
Okay, I wish you all the best. I love you. Thanks for coming on. I really do wish you all the best. And I just wish you had a clearer message to reach people, but you don't. It's muddled and it's a loser.
It's muddled and it's a loser. Oh, dude. The insanity of that, dude.
Fuck you.
And also, yeah, fuck you. Like, wow. Like, he basically called Cornell a loser, dude. Like, right before he left. Like, just, wow.
What do we, what do we call this, y'all? I support you so much, Doctor.
I love you. I support you so much, but your campaign's muddled and you're a loser. Fuck you. just wow. I mean, just what the fuck?
The last thing that's said at the end of this 45-minute interview was calling your campaign a loser. Unbelievable.
Wow.
just yeah. Like, just, yeah, that was what Jimmy's been up to lately. Just, unhinged, psychopathic fucking bullshittery, essentially. As, aye. Holy fuck. It's been a little longer, but we kind of, had a little, stun locks here and there, so, yeah, whatever. But, yeah, the caucasity of Jimmy Dore, dude. Just what was the other things I was gonna look at? I knew I was gonna have some other ones. I don't even know how to, like, you know, move on from that besides just like, let's just say fuck it, let's go to another thing. Oh, well, I guess you got me something here. Another story longer to go some direction you don't expect to outgrow. Alright, you know, we'll use this as a way to split our politics bullshit. But here, I want to at least do this first so I can at least have it on my watch history so I don't have to try to find it again later. Which one do I want? Do I want the short or the long one first? We'll do the long one, fuck it. We'll do that. There we go. That's all I want. Alright, there we go. Okay. So what have I got going on here?
Just want to start.
Oh, it ain't the guy with the low extreme voice. It be someone different now this time around. It ain't the guy with the voice that is very noticeable. I think his name is Mustard. Mustard something. I think it's Mustard P. Nope, this is indeed another person.
Video out right off the bat by letting you know that.
Okay, whoa, half an hour? Fuck me. Sea mustard? Oh, sea mustard, okay. And I am speeding this the fuck up to a 1.5. Because, Jesus Christ. This is longer than the videos I was gonna look at.
Incredibly sorry for my lack of uploads lately. My life has been just completely side.
Okay. I found
with the worst images I could conjure. Gore-stained walls, mangled bodies, probably a skull or something impaled on a spike. I thought of bugs too. Every time I heard something skitter or splash, every squeak or growl that echoed off the cave walls, I imagined bugs. Larger than life, cockroaches the size of dogs. Perhaps even a swarm of those flesh-eating scarabs from the Mummy movies. Under all that, beneath the smell of death and decay, there was a steady undertone of moaning. My fellow prisoners were perfectly content to wail in agony, but one was, as always, extra talkative. Okay, I spy, with my little eye, something black. Jerry, I said, trying to let him down gently. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but I don't think this is a real good time for that game. Okay, how about another round of 20 questions? I sighed. His cheerfulness in the face of certain death was relentless. Alright, sure. Person, place, or thing? Things.
I mean, honestly, like, I admit, like, I mean, the person that just kind of, like, has a more cheerful, like, I mean, I've actually heard, like, stories from people from the Holocaust that were survivors that, obviously, in comparison to a lot of other people who would, you know, be miserable and depressed, and obviously, like, they would kind of have a weird, like, sense of, like, you know, let me try to, like, look at the brighter side almost, and kind of have, like, either a routine or, like, you know, something to, like, look at, or, like, something to do. Like, there would be something that they would kind of, like, latch onto, essentially, as a way to kind of, like, give them a sense of, like, drive, or, like, you know, a sense of positivity, you know, as little as there was, basically. And there's a lot of stories like that, and they kind of range for some benign, like, oh yeah, like, I would, like, look at this tree and look at, you know, these birds or something, or, like, you know, something as crazy as, like, oh yeah, I would basically, like, you know, do weird mischief and probably get into slight trouble, but not enough to get me killed, or something, you know, like, it would vary from various different stories, you know, depending on, you know, the person, basically.
So bad at this game. Is it the spider demons? Aw, damn dude, are you sure you aren't psychic anymore? If I were psychic, would I have let you talk me into going on this ghost tour in the first place? Touché. Another voice cut into our discussion. This one sounded as annoyed as I felt. Will you two shut up already? You shut up, Brenda, Jerry snapped back. I'm on vacation. If I want to play games until the spider demons come back to finish us off, I'm gonna play the goddamn games until the goddamn spider demons come back to finish us off. A new voice.
Just fucking curse if you're gonna just fucking curse.
Raspy and old. Until this point, I didn't realize there was anyone left alive over there. They're not gonna finish us off, he said. Excuse me? I asked. The monsters. They're not demons either, by the way. They're creatures that evolved from a tragedy in these woods over a century ago. Oh, Jerry sang. Story time. Let's go, Mr. Creepy Voice. Y'all aren't from around here, said Mr. Creepy Voice. So it makes sense that you've never heard of these legends. But I grew up with them. Never paid them any mind until the summer. I saw the spider people myself. I couldn't help but notice that as he spoke, the incessant wails and moans of the other prisoners seemed to diminish. Almost like everybody was ignoring their pain just so they could listen to the little old man's tale. A long time ago, there was a company up this way. Some folks say they made chemicals. Some say it was a secret government testing agency, testing out poisons. See, this was before the big war. This was before science had a chance to catch up to humanity's abominations. Back then, there were always men looking for shortcuts. Jerry added, your scientists were so preoccupied with whether they could, they didn't stop to think if they should. Exactly, said Mr. Creepy Voice. You almost sounded impressed. That's a really good way to say it. Thanks, I made it up myself. Like you said, they didn't stop to think. The results of whatever they were doing came from a bunch of children being born with defects.
How much does 1.5 speed take off? If it's about half an hour, it would probably be like... What? I don't... God, you're making me do math. If 2 times speed would basically be 15 minutes, so probably like 7 minutes. I don't know. Something like that.
Limbs. Horrors to behold. Oh my god.
7.5.
Exclaimed Belinda. Those things are what attacked our bus. What happened to them? I asked. People around here didn't have much. The corporation offered to buy the kids outright. They turned the factory into an orphanage, but really it was more like an asylum. The kids grew up being tested and experimented on by the damn fools who cursed them to look the way they did in the first place. Until one day. Jerry started grunting next to me like he was lifting weights, which would have been impossible considering he was, just like the rest of us, trapped in a waxy cocoon. In fact, the only part of our bodies that were not secure beneath the 1-inch thick layer of itchy resin-like material was our heads. I assumed he was doing something weird, always a safe assumption with him, and ignored the noises while Mr. Creepy Voice continued his story. Legends say it was a flash flood that knocked out the power. Couldn't get it back up in the asylum for 3 days. So when they arrived, they found all the doctors and scientists dead, bites taken out of them. And the kids, they were still kids at the time, were nowhere to be seen. The strangest things about the bodies left behind is none of them had any fingers left. Jerry let out a gasp of relief, then whispered my name like he had an urgent secret to tell me but didn't want to interrupt the story. Jack, Brenda asked, they never found the kids? They must be ancient by now. It ain't the same kids, Mr. Creepy Voice explained. See, they grew up in them woods. Malformed or not, they still are people. And eventually, they did what people do. And when their babies got old enough, they started having babies too. It's been generation after generation, inbreeding, getting more and more feral. Less and less respect for the laws of man or God. Hey, Jack, Jerry whispered again.
So basically like Rock Turd. I wouldn't be surprised if this guy's seen the Rock Turd series, which is like some sci-fi horror movie series, which is basically about a bunch of Appalachian inbred cannibals.
I whispered back. I got 2 fingers in my pocket and reached the keychain. I had to use some thrusting power to get into place, but this is why I train every day. Hey, that's good for you, I said. The implication of his accomplishment hadn't settled in for me yet. I was still giving most of my attention to the older man in the story. They kept to themselves, content to snap in the occasional camper, lost hiker. But in recent years, the drought forced most of the wildlife to leave the mountain. The spider folk can't find regular meals, so they come closer to the edges of their domain. They snag a victim or two, and they eat them. How is it that nobody's gone looking for all the victims? I asked. Well, that's the thing, he answered. They don't kill people. Brenda and I asked at the same time. What? No, they ain't never killed no one since the flood. What they do is they take you, eat your fingers, and they let you go. People in town just assume they were stories. They go out near the woods and come back missing a few fingers. Probably just an accident, like a rock fell or something. A rock fell? I asked, incredulously. What does that even mean? Look, Mr. Creepy Voice said in a voice that sounded like he was annoyed. Or ashamed. Or both. It's complicated, okay? There's politics involved. And most of us are good people. We don't like talking politics. We just want life to be nice and quiet. What good is arguing gonna do? I'm confused.
Conservatives in a
kind
nutshell.
Of politics. Could you possibly... You know what? Never mind. Are you saying the spider monsters aren't going to kill us? No, it's much worse than that. They're going to keep us in here in this black as night cave because they want to keep their meat fresh. And when the time comes, when they get hungry, they're going to come in here and eat our fingers. Brenda gasped. Wait, Jerry said. They're going to eat our fingers and then kill us, right? No, Mr. Creepy Voice responded. They're going to let us go, but only after they've eaten all our fingers. So, I was trying to work this all out in my head. How is this worse than death? I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not thrilled about the idea of fingers getting eaten, but given the choice between that and death, yeah, Jerry cheered with delight. Moans of pain went silent, and in the silence, the only noise that could be heard was a soft shik, shik, shik. What is that? I asked. Jerry could barely contain his excitement. I got the knife open on my keychain. I had to rip a hole in my pocket, but that's when I realized the noise I was hearing was Jerry steadily cutting away the cocoon confinement. Now that I've got yet another hole in my pants, I'm able to say, the sawing noise stopped. There was a jingle of keys moving around, then a click, and then, let there be light! The cave was suddenly illuminated by a beam of light shining forth from Jerry's crotch hole. The tiny alien-shaped keychain flashlight that he had picked up from the Roswell gift shop was probably the equivalent of a big lighter for a light source, but after spending hours in the pitch black, it may as well have been a spotlight. In that moment, I realized 2 things. First, my imagination wasn't that far off from reality. No skulls on pikes, but there was plenty of dried blood painted on the cave walls. Bugs skittered away from Jerry's crotch light like it was a radioactive blast. Fortunately, there weren't any dead bodies. That smell of rotting flesh was coming from the other, still living victims. And second, Rosa was never going to let us live this down. It had been a couple of months since we began this road trip. In that time, the amount of...
And the other living victims aren't moaning or groaning or suffering or dying?
Encountered was, well... Let's call it
quietly just there, just like,
we don't go
yeah,
looking
it's
for
fun.
trouble, but trouble seems to come looking for us. We had just escaped another fiasco by the skin of our teeth before landing here in this quiet mountain town on our way to visit my friend Claire on the other side of the country. The plan was to lay low, patch up the bullet holes in the van, and relax for a day or two. Nothing crazy. No sewer explorations, no chasing a ball of light into a graveyard, no following any creepy little girls behind abandoned farmhouses. We had learned our lessons. So when Jerry found a flyer for Mountain Ghost Tour in our motel lobby, Rosa thought that he would have known better than to ask if we felt like going on a little excursion for the evening. The two of them got into a small fight over it. Nothing serious. She rightly pointed out that he was testing his luck. He rightly pointed out that the odds of us encountering another horrifying life-or-death event in the span of a chintzy 3-hour tour was astronomical. As always, I was called upon to be the arbiter. And as always, I made the wrong choice. Hindsight is such a jerk, isn't it? While Rosa went to watch the new Thor movie, Jerry and I bought our tickets, climbed aboard a bus.
Tell 14. I can kind of tell that like somebody who does not like swearing or like someone who does not know what that is wrote it a little bit. Obviously a good writer, but like I mean, like it's like life could be a jerk. It's like life's a bitch. That's the real. Like, oh my god, it's like just fucking just swear, damn it.
We barely made it.
Just put your foot in kisses in there, you folks.
By the time Rosa got out of the theater, we were already slathered up in this viscous booger goo and plopped inside a deep dark cave. With Jerry's alien light illuminating every horrible detail, I try to focus on the humanity of our situation. There was at least 12 of us here. Brenda, who we had already met on the bus, was right next to us. So too were the other tourists. And then there were a few others. A couple barely came into consciousness. Dirty, bloody, and tired. The worst of these was a man across from me. Mr. Creepy Voice had an unkempt gray beard and a face full of wrinkles. Unlike the others, his arms weren't bound by the cocoon any longer. Instead, his scabbed and scarred hands hung limply at his side. One contained nothing but an index finger and a thumb. The other, nothing but a middle finger. Jesus, I said without thinking. Mr. Creepy Voice cracked a smile. I haven't been happy to see light in a long time. Sorry. Jerry cut the light off instantly. The noise came from the front of the cave. It sounded like something between human and animal. It was the same sound the spider creatures made when they crawled onto the tour bus and into every open window before blasting all their webby goop. Oh no, Brenda yelled, they're coming back! The darkness didn't last long. A different kind of light filled the room. Distorted shadows glided over the irregular cavern walls. Squee, squee, squee. The hissing noise grew. The shadows came into focus. A creature walking upright with 6 limbs and a giant head. Then I saw it. A backlit silhouette of a spider person behind him. Another person carried a lantern. The same kind of lantern that they had when they dragged us down here in the first place. The chorus of pain and suffering rose to a crescendo. The people in the cave pleaded and begged, but before I knew what was happening, the monsters had made their selection, and they'd begun eating. They freed their victims' hands with those disgusting mandibles, then chomped away at the fingers like a horse going to sugar cubes. Jerry and I were spared, but not everyone was so lucky. Mr. Creepy Voice got the worst of it. They ate his last remaining digits and then vomited that white goo onto the wounds. It instantly hardened into the rest of the cocoon. And then, just as suddenly, the creatures turned and they walked away, leaving us in complete darkness once again. Well, that sucked, Jerry said, flicking his flashlight back on. Through gritted teeth, Mr. Creepy said, "It is what it is." As pointless as it was to ask, I felt compelled to do so anyway. "You okay?" "I knew it was only a matter of time," he said. "But now at least most of the suffering is almost over. They'll be back once the wounds are healed, and then they'll let me go." "Hang on a sec," Jerry said. The flashlight beam went wild as he began pelvic thrusting. With each movement, he made a triumphant "Hyah!" noise. It took me a second to realize that his pocket knife was steadily cutting a larger hole in his cocoon. I dared to let myself feel hope. "Wait," the old man said. "Stop that, what are you doing? The spider folk ain't gonna like that." Jerry took a second to catch his breath. His hand was already free up to the wrist, giving him plenty of maneuverability at this point to continue carving the cocoon. "Well," he said, "I guess they're gonna just have to die mad about it." With that, he began feverishly shaking his hand with the pocket knife, splitting the cocoon down the middle, releasing his arm past the elbow, cutting all the way up to his neck, and then with a loud frack, he freed himself and flopped onto the disgusting bloody floor, which he then kissed. "Oh, sweet freedom." He stood up and wiped the grime off his face, and then turned to look at me and said, "Rosa cannot know about this." "I won't say a word if you don't." "Great, let's get the heck out of here." He got to work sawing through my cocoon. He tried to offer the rest of the victims some reassurance. "Don't worry, I'm gonna get everyone out of here." "No," shouted Creepy Voice. "You can't. There's not enough time. They're gonna be back soon. Just go. Leave us. Save yourself." "What?" Brenda asked. Creepy Voice continued. "Most of us are too weak to make the walk back down the mountain. We need to stay here." "Youch!" I shouted, as Jerry's blade tip went a little too deep and scraped a rib. "Oh, sorry, bud. Did I get you?" "It's fine. Just get me out of here." I would have told him to slow down and be more careful, but I had a bad feeling something was happening. Something worse than the spider monster kidnapping, that is. I couldn't put my finger on it exactly, but I knew I wanted to leave that cave before whatever was about to happen could happen. He finished his cut and pried open the plaster-like cocoon. It stuck to my skin and clothes like crazy glue, but eventually I managed to tear myself free. As soon as I was out, I started looking for a tool so I could help cut everybody else free. "Uh-oh," Jerry said as the light began to dim. "Well, looks like we're almost out of juice." "I said go!" Creepy Voice angrily shouted. "Take your friend and run away while you still have the chance. Looks like you've only got enough battery power to reach the opening of the cave. If you stay here..."
I mean, honestly, I would just, like, go over the creepy guy and just say, just bail. Just say fucking go.
"All die, and this will all be for nothing." Something about that sentence tickled the weird part of my brain that makes me stop everything I'm doing and say, "Hang on, what?" "Just leave us." With a heavy sigh, Jerry said, "Okay, fine, we'll go get help and we'll be back to rescue you all." "No!" A heavy silence fell on the room. I looked at everyone's faces. They were all looking at the old man. Some kind of explanation. He huffed and grit his teeth, scowled as drool poured out of his mouth into his beard. What's really going on?" I asked. "It's not fair." Jerry stepped forward. "What's not fair?" I got captured, same as you. How is it fair that you get rescued with all your fingers, but I get all 10 of mine bitten off? Dude, we're trying to save your life, I explained. They ain't gonna kill me, he responded in a vicious tone. They already ate my fingers, they're gonna come back later, and once I'm good and healed, I'm gonna get let go. How do you know that? Asked Brenda. Because it's what they do. They ate my neighbor Nate's fingers last year. My cousin Earl's got his eaten back in high school. Even my first wife Edna had her fingers taken. She went camping in '04. It sucks, but it's what happens.
It just happens.
The mystery finally revealing itself to me in the worst possible way. Are you saying multiple people have been here already to this cave and had their fingers eaten? This has been going on for a while now, and what, people just don't do anything about it? They knew where the cave was and they still let people come out here? Calm down, he said without a shred of irony. It's just the way it is. It's the way it's always been. Well, that's gonna end now. We're gonna get the cops and bring them back here. Don't you fucking dare. The police around here are public servants. My tax dollars pay for that. And I don't feel like having to pay more taxes just so you entitled millennials get to escape with all your fingers. Wait a second, one of the other voices said. Jerry shined the light toward the middle-aged man in the corner of the room. He wasn't from our bus, but judging by the bloodstains in his cocoon, he had already lost a digit or two on each hand. Are you saying that we're gonna have to pay more in taxes if they go get a rescue team? No! I said exactly at the same time as Creepy said, yes. His was louder than me. And then he rattled on with the rate. The police are gonna have to come all the way out here, buy extra gas, rent extra rescue equipment, and then waste a whole lot of ammo on the spider folk. And just think of all the overtime. Who's paying for all that wasteful government spending, huh? None of these assholes over here and their fancy elitist flashlights. God damn it, dude, I shouted. It's got nothing to do with... Why am I even arguing with you? The middle-aged man in the corner piped up again. Now, hang on. I don't want to have to pay more in taxes. You won't, I tried to explain. That argument makes absolutely no sense. I'm just a middle-class American. I haul cardboard cubes for a living. I can't afford to raise in taxes. And because of all this inflation, now I'm not trying to get political or anything. Then don't, I said. Just shut up. We're trying to save you. A new voice, this one strangely high-pitched and Muppet-like, joined the conversation. You know who really benefits from these two losers bringing back a rescue party, don't you? Jerry shined a light toward the one speaking. The man was sitting on a rock, scratching his mandible with one of his forearms. Who the fuck are you? Jerry asked. My name's Jordan Squeak. And I think it's obvious, the only one who really benefits are the spider folk. Every one of us normal humans have to pay the price, Squeak, while spider folk reap the benefits. Jordan's right, shouted Creepy. Whose side are you on, anyway? Okay, I said, fighting back a headache. You know Jordan's a spider monster, right? I mean, look, he's got 6 eyes, he's not even in a cocoon, he's not your friend, and does not have your best interest in mind. Why are you listening to him? Of course he's human, argued the man in the corner. Look, he's wearing a hat. I looked back to see Jordan had, sure enough, put on a backwards baseball cap, with 3 eyes on his left, and they winked at me. This is stupid, I said. Jerry whispered. Yeah, but I kind of want to see where it's going, though. Creepy wasn't done arguing yet. You know who else called these things stupid, he said. Swear to God, if you say Nazis, the Nazis thought people who disagreed with them were stupid, just like you. So explain to me, how are you not a Nazi? Jerry leaned in and said, maybe we should just go. My flashlight doesn't have that much longer, and I think this conversation's not going to end the way you want it to. The man in the corner spoke up again. Hey, what about my son? I looked his way. Sorry, corner guy, I don't know what you're talking about. My son, Kevin. Say hi, Kevin. A teenager with jet black hair and an emo cut with mascara under his eyes tissed and said, whatever. Kevin got his thumb bitten off. Ain't that right, Kevin? You're so lame, Dad. Why'd you even bring me here? Okay, I said. Kevin, do you want us to get you out of here while you still have 9 fingers? He tissed again and said, whatever, I guess. No way, said his father. No son of mine is going to take shortcuts. You signed a waiver to go on that tour bus. You have to pay the price. Period. Sweet, you're making a lot of good arguments, aren't you? Asked Jordan. Shut up, Spider. What's the matter, Squeak? Can you not handle someone who destroys you with facts and logics? Typical snowflake. He grabbed me by the shoulder and pulled me from the nonsense. Okay, he said,
Shapiro?
We're gonna leave now. And we'll be back, I said, with help to save all of you. No! Screamed Mr. Creepy. It's not fair that those of us have already played by the rules.
Mr. Creepy, that's just his name now.
And now I'm gonna get out. How is it fair for everyone else to get out for free? Brenda started next. Can I say something? I've been listening to all of you, and I have to say both sides are making strong arguments. And if you really think about it, both sides are the same, right? Some of us are arguing for fairness, and I think that's reasonable. And
why in the hell would there be a debate or argument going on in the fucking cave?
I still have all of my fingers. It would be fair to those who came before if we were to get a free ride. I mean, what message does that send our kids? Do whatever you want, but you need to be careful and take precautions. Because taxpayers will just bail you out whenever you get in trouble. Really? Is this what America is supposed to be? Tell you what, I said. How about we put it to a vote? Who here does
You'd
not
be surprised. I mean, yeah, fair enough.
Go get help. The creepy guy in the corner, the spider monster pretending to be a human, Brenda, all signaled that they support the plan. Okay, who here does want us to go get help? Everyone else in the room signaled these idiots may have been the loudest, but they did not represent the consensus. Well, guys, I think you've been outvoted. Rigged, shouted Creepy. Fake, shouted the man in the corner. I'm pretty sure we won, Belinda stated calmly. Everyone I talk to says that we want to leave the spider folk alone. It's about heritage and history. You can't just trample all over that. Plus, mathematically, there's no possible way that you could have won. Oh shit, Jerry said. I just remembered. I have a cell phone. The cell phone flashlight filled the cave with 1,000 times brighter lights than the weak little alien keychain could have. Jordan hissed and crawled away deeper to the cavern on his 8 limbs. Oh, would you look at that? I actually have cell service in here. Nice. Our conversation with the 911 operator was made slightly more awkward by...
Wait, 8 limbs?
Creepy's incessant shouting...
Wait, are they all spider folk?
...around for them to leave us alone. Jerry dropped our GPS coordinates and Creepy howled about the big government, taking away his freedom to be left in the spider cave. In a refreshing turn of luck, the police delivered a response in record time. Within 30 minutes, there were helicopters circling the mountain. Search and rescue teams carried those who couldn't walk to waiting ambulances. Some familiar men in black suits and black vans rounded up the spider people.
That may have been a typo.
Hauled them away in the most anticlimactic ending imaginable. As I stood on the side of the mountain road watching the containment unit scour the forest for errant spider people, Jerry walked up sipping from a mug. Hey, they got cocoa in the ambulance. You want any? Is there coffee? I can check. Right then, a van pulled up to the police line and stopped. Rosa got out with a smirk on her face, crossed the police tape to come and join us. Well, she said, how was the ghost tour? Kinda disappointing, I answered. How was the new Thor movie? Same. Oh, her eyes lit up as she remembered something extra exciting. Y'all probably didn't hear, but while you were trapped in that cave, they passed a bill to cancel a bunch of student loan debt. Okay, that was pretty good. Guys, thank you. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like and a share and all that other stuff YouTube enjoys.
I want to see what the comments said. Good gas station story. I guess they're just talking about random. I guess kind of talk about literally like the first little bit of. What was no reply? Don't get to see that? Okay. Guess not. Get back to it. I guess this guy did politics at one point. This is a story rich in gas station Jack. Check comments there. Ah, okay. I'm kind of curious what people say. I guess I'm gonna have to go all the way down here. Oh shit. Okay, well. Where would the comments be? If there is any. Right there. Well, let me click. Wait, is there something at the top of this? No? Okay, so what the hell? I can't click the comments? Oh, they're right here. Uses the Thor movie as a plot device to explain why someone wasn't there to help. I have 2 nickels. 11 focus on cons. I mean, yeah, he does definitely. Why don't you take responsibility for your actions? Pay back your loans. What the fuck? So, like, what? For giving student loan debt is just like giving cancer to someone who doesn't have cancer. What the fuck? Yo. Check the reply. Is there a reply to this? Oh, there is. You're paying it out of your own pocket or paying it with taxes. You're paying it either way, and which the gov is, well, yeah. And never make bank for student loan debt. Can you forget federal student loan debt? Tell me to do a service and make an education free for the working class, better material. Well, yeah, no shit. Well, it's great to know that the politics shows up in every situation, even the most dire amongst those. Also, for some reason, it's creepy and keeps showing up in my head as a black market guy from Beastars. I forget what species it was. Doing monsters. This is so American. Of course, you see him. He's wearing a hat. So wait, what's the reply to this? Classic. So for now, find a center. Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay. I also have a few weird little circle jerkle chuckle fucks. Living out everyone, the grandma's cats are drinking. Or dunking on conservatives crying about marginal amount of debt cancellation for I could catch an ass backwards minds of, but it's not fair. I've suffered, so everyone else should too. I mean, no shit, yeah. Looks like people get it. Looks like kind of people are getting in on that shit. Because, I mean, for real, though, it's like in a lot of ways conservatism in a nutshell. It's like you have to suffer because I did, so everyone must. That's why.
Here's more.
Shut up, Kyle. You know, honestly, that is kind of a nice little tangent back into the grind. Because, speaking of conservatives, you know, being like, it's not fair. I burn my hand now, you have to, bitch. Don't force you to pick up that hot coal. I mean, no shit. And also the other thing, too, what was that other comment? It's like, oh, like, forgiving student loan debt is like giving everyone cancer. Like, what the fuck does that mean? No, that's like trying to get everyone to not have cancer. Like, what in the fuck? It's like the opposite. I don't know. Conservatism. Never once. Not once. Which, speaking of, here, well, we'll just kind of get right to the juice. Let's just get right to the juice.
Of gun reform, and let's see how that goes.
I'm not going to start lecturing you about guns.
Oh, fuck. Is this still at 1.2? Oh, no, Kyle made it like 5,000 times speed.
Your country, your laws, your culture, I get all that. But there was another mass shooting this week, and it comes off the back of endless mass shootings. More this year already than any other recorded year. Nearly 200, I think, now.
By the way, just to give a fact on that real quick, look at this.
Firearm debt. Jesus, fuck. You know, I know like a lot of firearm deaths are due to suicide as well, and I know this plays a major fucking factor. But, bruh, dude, like the peak back in the 90s was here. Like, we hit that peak around like here, and then it just like just yeet itself up into orbit.
So this is actually
it has yeeted itself into orbit. Oh my god.
21. There were 48,830 gun deaths in the U.S. The old number that we used to give was there's 32,000 gun deaths a year. That was back in like 2014. 33,594. We're all the way up to 48,830 gun deaths a year. That is an astonishing number. All right, let's continue.
Sort of scale and volume of these mass shootings seems to be getting worse and worse. What is the answer? I mean, what?
Being a soulless bitch that doesn't give a fuck about any of that, and that wants to make sure that I consume nothing more than fucking power. Because I'm an evil demon bitch, and you will not stop me, you evil little British peasant.
I think can be.
That's what I like see when I look at her right there. When Pierce Morgan's saying that. Like, that's what I feel like her internal monologue is saying.
Because a million new guns.
I agree with the British peasant part, but beyond that, no, I don't.
Every month. So the volume of guns in circulation exponentially increases. The power of them seems to be getting bigger. Young people seem to be suffering, in particular, a lot of mental health issues. And it's turning into this awful Groundhog Day cocktail of people apparently going mad and committing heinous mass shootings. What do you think the answer is?
Kind of here we are again, right?
Right.
And I think, I know you're a father and I'm a mother, and it's painful to see any loss of life, especially, you never expect your children to die before you do. And in some of these shootings, we've had children dying and adults dying, and we just had a car run down a bunch of people.
Oh yeah, dude, the guy's complaining about forgiving student loan debt spelled forgoving. Yeah, I noticed that, forgoving. Yeah, if you forgove student loan debt, like, and, become a forgoving person, you might just make sure that everyone gets cancer.
As well, we're not banning cars.
I am indeed a forgoving person.
Attempting to ban cars.
Oh my god, the car.
Oh, wait, hold on, wait, what?
Children to die before you do. And in some of these shootings, we've had children dying and adults dying, and we just had a car run down a bunch of people recently as well. We're not banning cars or attempting to ban cars.
Those are two different things. Hope it was worth it. I mean, it was a little long. In the sense that it kind of dragged on for a second, but once it kind of got heated with the politics thing, I was like, a part of my mind was like, why are they debating politics in this shit? But I was like, oh, I kind of see what they're doing here, because it's kind of like the analogy that you were talking about from earlier with like the, you know, with Candyman stuff and like the whole redlining and like, you know, broader like, you know, politics of shit like this. Actually, I mean, with what Carrie Lake's doing too, to an extent. Oh, it's like, hey, this happened, you know, and shit. Like, you see those people that got fucked up, but we ain't banning this shit. We ain't addressing that. So what the fuck, you know, when, you know, stuff happens over here, why you bitching about that? I mean, it's kind of the same thing.
God, the car argument is so frustrating.
Whoa, DJ Kyle in the house. Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop. Dude, DJ Kyle, dude, DJ Kalinsky on the mic, dude. Yo, what is up, DJ Kalinsky?
My God, it's so frustrating. Holy shit.
Oh shit, dude, he is going full DJ mode. Like one ear off the, you know, do one headphone off the muff and just like, oh, whoop, whoop. Dude, he's doing it, dude. And yeah, I think his hair is silver. Dude, like fucking 90s DJ Kalinsky, dude. 90s era DJ Kalinsky. Like, dude, he is going so 90s era, it is insane. And honestly, I'm so here for it. I love it.
Let's see how he responds to it.
Some of these shootings, we've had children dying and adults dying, and we just had a car run down a bunch of people recently as well. We're not banning cars.
Okay, you know, honestly, to this whole stupid thing, like, you know, we should actually maybe not, like, overtly ban cars, but, like, restrict, you know, like, their, you know, usage, I would think, in a sense that, like, you know, we should be, like, curtailing the automotive industry and restructuring our infrastructure to more pedestrian-friendly roadways and more pedestrian-based roadways, and also, you know, public transit. Like, I mean, you know, you don't have to ban cars. You can reduce the risk of people being ran over or death and all this other shit and all the other risks and factors that happen when it comes to automobiles by doing shit like that, which most leftists want. So it's just like, I mean, even some libs want this shit. Like, I mean, you know, it's like the only ones who don't are weird like NIMBYs and fucking like right-wing conservative psychopaths that want like 8,000 lane highways. Like, okay, so, I mean, good lord. And yeah, self-driving cars, but I don't think that's more of like a treatment more than a cure. That's like a symptom, you know, that's like a, you know, a treatment to a symptom more so than a cure-all to it. But it's a good, you know, transitionary thing. So I do think, you know, like having, you know, that type of shit, or maybe like having a way to retrofit or, you know, like, you know, modernize or, you know, or refit like different vehicles to be self-driving or something. I'm sure there's ways to do it.
We're attempting to ban cars.
You're regulating cars.
Often. We're regulating them from driving through crowds.
Well, no, but it's a very interesting piece by Nick Kristof in the New York Times.
Well, at least, you know, when it comes to some Republican states, like in Florida, they actually encourage you. So, I mean, we're not really doing great on that.
Comparing what happened actually with car regulation and comparing it to gun regulation. That cars used to kill a lot of people in America, going back 100 years when they first came along. And they brought in a series of regulations from wearing...
I should be a lot afraid to drive my own hands and feet, swigs from his flask. Yeah, it's like, I deserve to be able to drive my own hands and feet. You know, unlike these goddamn communists that want to say otherwise. And I should have a beer or two while, you know, before I go to the bar or go back home, you know, to feel a little lightheaded after work and shit. I tell you what, these fucking communists. Dude, they said that shit back when they actually instilled regulations from drinking and driving or having seatbelts. You know, back in the day, conservatives and weird, you know, slack jock fucks were also saying the same shit now. Oh, it's communist. Oh, it's just like government overreach. And oh, it's anti-freedom and blah, blah, blah. Oh, well, it's responsibility of the individual if they can't handle their shit and slaughter a bunch of people. Like, you know, yeah. Got to pull yourself by the bootstraps and learn from that or something. Give me a break. They're fucking insane.
To having to have insurance, to having to be registered for them.
But that doesn't, Pierce, that's
speed limit.
Not someone driving a car.
And also, like, you know, strict laws that might revoke your license if you know, violate those laws, especially certain ones like drinking and driving and stuff like that.
That's my point. My point was that his point was, in this very interesting column, to be registered for them. His point was, in this very interesting column, was that there were a series of regulations were brought in, and the combined effect was that the mortality rate from car deaths
But we're
decreased.
talking about separate things.
I know, but hang on, you race cars.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Oh, look at her fucking stupid cunt smile, bro. Oh my god. She's saying those are two separate things. Bitch, you brought it up! You brought up cars, you bitch! You're the one who brought it up! And now you're saying they're separate things? You can't have it both ways, bitch! You cannot have it both ways. What the fuck are you talking about? Oh my, dude, look, dude, she is insane. Look at her. Dude, she looks like I'm the Joker, baby. Dude, she's looking like some Joker material right here. Holy fuck. Oh my god. Dude, holy fuck. She looks like she's about to, like, harvest your organs while you're still alive. Without anesthetic. And you feel every second of it.
Decreased by 95%. And it was a very interesting piece, which is, why don't you just regulate...
Ibis straps and ran out from being sandwiched between a tree and several tons of metal. Well, funny enough, that it happened to Harley, but it wasn't really because of anything like that. It was just because they were trying to move his Thunderbird, and that's how his leg got broken. Like, he was moving his Thunderbird, and it started gaining momentum as it rolled off the trailer, and it pinned him up against a tree and cracked his and snapped his leg a little bit, or cracked his, snapped his something. Like, you know, he's been having a recovery mode of ideas for quite a while. Youch. I mean, he's in, like, physical therapy now. Like, he's at a point where he's just on a cane. Like, just walking around with a cane at this point. So, he's getting better. You know, he's going to get back into action here pretty soon. Give it, like, another month or two. I feel bad for him, dude. Poor buddy. I was just about to say something, but never mind.
Like you
There are millions, tens of millions of gun owners in America who wouldn't dream of doing a mass shooting.
Oh my god. So he...
Oh, okay. Wait, Kara Lake, fuck off. Like, no shit. Yeah, of course, the majority of, like, gun owners in America would not ever conceive or think about doing shit like this. I wouldn't. I couldn't even fathom the idea of doing something like that. Like, that would just be fucking unthinkable for me to even consider. Like, so, like, yeah, and there's most Americans probably think like me, like, when it comes to that situation. Like, I mean, the idea of, like, using, you know, my firearm to intentionally and just, you know, carelessly and just callously, like, harm other people like that is just fucking unfathomable to me. Like, I mean, you know, like, that's just ridiculous. Like, no shit. Like, I mean, it takes, you know, a certain mindset and a certain, like, you know, pressures, you know, for that to be the case. And, you know, like, and most people in America that own guns don't feel that pressure. If anything, those pressures tend to be more internalized, and that's where depression and suicidality tend to be more of a risk. Not mass shootings. Granted, those are still very much a fucking problem, and, you know, and very much a genuine threat in America, unfortunately. But, you know, and if anything, I'd argue a lot of that, you know, at this rate is starting to kind of be more ideological, more so than just, you know, mental health factors or, you know, just easy access of guns and shit like that. Like, and more often than not, a lot of these shootings are genuinely far-right ideologically bent, or even overtly Nazistically bent. Like, you know, when it comes to a lot of these manifestos, the Jacksonville shooting, the, you know, Allen, Texas shooting, like, they're, like, the one where Nicholas Cruz of Parkland, like, there's more often than not, repeating, you know, more commonly, these type of shootings that have a far-right fascistic or Nazistic manifesto bent towards, you know, these type of, you know, shootings and shit. And for those fucking reasons and for those fucking ideologies. Like, you know, which mental health certainly plays a major fucking role. Accessibility to firearms certainly plays a major fucking role. But at this point, like, ideology is starting to become kind of like another one threat, you know, especially when it comes to the rise of far-right extremism and terrorism, especially with the rise of fascism and Nazism, you know, in this country. I think they're kind of, you know, not, I don't think it's a coincidence. I'm pretty sure it's genuinely connected. And addressing that issue, I think, actually would probably, you know, reduce a lot of these mass shootings. I genuinely believe that. If you just, like, even if it's just focusing on that specifically and directly, and you never address anything else. Like, I honestly do believe that these mass shootings would lessen. It doesn't mean they would go away, obviously. I mean, it would still be a problem, but, I mean, they wouldn't be, as common because they wouldn't be bent on such an ideological backing, because he'd be, nipping this shit in the bud before it happens. I mean, which needs to be the case. Like, I mean, so there certainly is an issue with this shit. And honestly, arguably, I mean, I do think, it's not strictly just guns, that are the problem here. But, I mean, it certainly is a part of it. It's absolutely a variable. I mean, it is a tool that's used after all. And, so that needs to be addressed. But there's plenty of other factors that need to, be addressed with this as well. And frankly, neither side ever wants to fucking talk about that shit. They'll mention it, maybe here and there, but never actually try to, give a solution to address it. They just kind of mention it, wing off, and then think about either, get away from my guns, or let's, restrict them as much as possible, and nothing else in between. No nuance of it. Because there is a little bit. And, and the thing is, you can't just, snap every gun out of existence in America, so that's just out of the picture. So you have to restrict the accessibility to them. That's the main factor, but also, the socioeconomic conditions, the, ideological extremism, because that's certainly a fucking role too. It's kind of like all of the above, really. I mean, it's just that given over the years, they've kind of, varied, honestly in priority, but at this point, it's starting to kind of get more ideological, more so than just, mental health factors or material condition factors or just, accessibility factors. There's other roles being played here that are genuinely very fucking dangerous.
He just absolutely dissected her point.
Which people like Carrie Lake condone and are okay with. They don't condemn it. And in fact, I mean, they undermine it entirely and want more accessibility for these things to be more likely to happen. That bitch is okay with it. She wants it to be more of a thing. She's okay with the far-right extremism and terrorism. In fact, she thinks it could be justified if it's, for her specific political leanings.
In no uncertain terms. And was like, here's why the car thing is absurd. You do regulate cars. When you did regulate cars, you reduced the fatalities by 95%. So why not just regulate guns in the same way you regulate cars? In other words, he's not even saying ban guns, which, by the way, he's British. He might actually have that stance in terms of what he wants for his own country. I'm not exactly sure.
I'm pretty sure he probably thinks that a little bit. He probably thinks that the British form of, firearm regulation is fair and just. And he's just kind of being softer about this because he's talking to Carrie Lake. But, I mean, honestly, regulating it when we do cars, I think, is at least, a good base foundational step, honestly. I mean, because at least with, universal background checks and stuff, I mean, we kinda, but that's, that doesn't do anything. There should definitely be, a written test form and also, a hands-on, test, to make sure that you're actually capable and responsible and safe and all that other shit. I mean, testing. Oh, is YouTube being dumb? Because, because if not, because if so, Streamlabs didn't pick up any of your comments if you said anything. Well, it looks like it's working now. But, but like I was saying, though, it's just I mean, at least as a base foundation, I think it would certainly work, I like to, help when it comes to DMV shit. Because, if anything, I mean, to have, a written and hands-on, test and shit, really does legitimately kind of minimize, the factors of some yokel chuckle fuck, just getting a gun and then drinking, 10 fucking coolers or some shit and then, accidentally shooting his friend's finger off, or whatever the fuck. I mean, because, if that person's not going to be able to be safe or responsible and prove and test that shit and qualify, and that type of stuff, then they don't get it. They can come back in, I don't know, a month, 2 months, something like that. Give them, a period where, they can read up, and stuff like that, and, and all that shit, and then, come back and try again. But, the thing is, there needs to be, at the very bare minimal, what Peter Smart is saying, it's why don't you treat it how you regulate cars and regulate guns the same way? Which I honestly, as a base foundation, I've always advocated that. You know, regulate them like you do, like, you know, cars, like have a DMV version, you know, when it comes to firearms and stuff. And, you know, just have vigorous, you know, like, you know, regulations and accessibility to that type of shit. And have, like, you know, different permits, you know, and stuff for different accessibility for certain firearms and shit, depending on what you're in. You know, like if you're a hunter or like a competition shooter or whatever the fuck, you know, it's just like, I think that's absolutely fucking fair, and I would absolutely be okay with that. But, you know, like, there's just definitely certain things where there's just such a weird, like, hyper absolutist partisanship about this, where it's like, oh, you can't have mags more than like 10 or 5 rounds, or you can't have this, that, that. And it's like, and it's all that shit is just really arbitrary and bullshit. Like, I mean, because, like, you know, I've mentioned it before, like, a standard magazine capacity of my shotgun is technically 6. You know, or give or take, maybe 4 or even 7, depending on the size of the shells. And for my AK, it's the standard magazine, you know, capacity is 30. Same thing for AR-15s and pretty much any other standard rifle. Outside of, like, carbines or, you know, hunting rifles, stuff like that, it's usually 10 or 5. But for the most part, usually it's 30. I mean, so it's like, I don't know, it's like certain little intricate shit like that, just, I think it's just gets a little too ridiculous, because it's like, I mean, you know, you can restrict the accessibility of firearms, you know, it, like, in a you know, in a way to where, like, that shit wouldn't really necessarily have to be restricted, like when it comes to like a mag capacity or whatever. What is your deal? Can I help you?
But he's saying, yeah, I get it, U.S., they have the second.
Don't worry. If you're ever in a redacted, just have a katana, because they deflect bullets, and you know it's true because I've seen it in anime. True!
I mean, you're going to have guns, but why not have a system that makes
You just got to be a mall ninja with it.
Sense. So that you regulate it, keep the guns out of the hands of criminals. Make it so there's a permitting process and a testing process, which is reasonable. You know
what's funny? Like, this is, I don't mean to stun lock it so much, but like, this is actually very you know, tangential to this as well. Like, I noticed this a lot with fucking like the far right conservatives and the ammo sexual nutballs and the Second Amendment humpers. Like, they'll like mention, like, if there's a law that, you know, they'll mention this, like Thomas Jefferson quotes, like, if there is a law that is unjust towards man, it is not only, you know, a moral duty, it's an obligation for them to disobey it. And basically they'll refer that to any, like, gun laws and shit. And these are the same people that will say, oh, if you pass these laws, well, criminals will just disobey it anyway. And honestly, and when they mention things like that, saying, oh, you know, they're, you know, trying to enforce these laws, you know, on guns, but I'm sure I'm shit not going to follow it. Well, guess what? That makes you a criminal. And if criminals aren't going to follow the laws, and that's what you say all the fucking time, isn't that self-admission? Like, it ain't the fucking gangbangers in Chicago or some shit, fucking, you know, shooting their Glocks like this or some shit. You know, it's the fucking, like, you know, Elmer Fudd, you know, with his fucking, you know, like, you know, double-barrel shotgun, and it's like 8,000 AR-15s and shit. Like, it's that guy. That guy, you know, like, when it comes to, like, the criminal ain't gonna follow the gun laws, it's the Elmer Fudd fuck. Like, that's what they're referring to. Like, all these weird right-wing Second Amendment hump and chuckle fucks. Like, and they honestly admit it. They do say, like, go on these, like, you know, gun YouTube channels and shit, especially when they're talking about gun laws or, like, the ATF or whatever the fuck. It is so fucking blatant. Like, they are genuinely comfortable to say, like, oh, yeah, like, you know, they don't understand anything, so we'll just break the law, fuck it, Like, they just admit that shit. I'm not even kidding. Like, go on any of those fucking channels, you know, especially if they're talking about, like, any gun law, regulation, like, anything about the ATF, stuff like that. You'll see comments like that. I fucking shit you not. Like, I'm not even kidding. It's, like, it's a genuine, like, position that these fuckers hold. Which, I mean, shouldn't be a surprise, but honestly, what surprises me is how willing they are to just be comfortable to admit it. At least in their own circles. In their own little, like, communities that they feel comfortable saying that in. Like, it kind of surprised me a little bit. Dude, mall cop ninjas. You know what? That's what all the mall ninjas need to do. Instead of having these weird, like, wannabe cops, you know, be mall cops, just have the mall ninjas do it. There you go. You know, gives all the mall ninjas, you know, something to do instead of being in their mom's basement playing Fortnite or something, or World of Warcraft or some weird anime game or some shit. I don't fucking know. Like, you know, gives them something to do, you know, and then they can spend money doing microtransactions on their weird little MMO anime game or something, I don't know, or whatever the fuck, and, you know, there you go. They could be the most, like, top badass Gia in the fucking Discord, dude. Not only will they be the Discord mod, but they'll be like the top G of the Discord mods. You'll be the equivalent of like Andrew Tate having like 8,000 Bugattis. Dude. Mall Ninja Cop representation, dude. We need it.
Try to only have...
Did YouTube yeet my comment? It hella disappeared. If you made a comment, then I did not see... Is YouTube just starting to like, you know, censor comments left and right? Because, yeah, I've noticed that this has not been active as much. Like, is YouTube starting to, like, say, hey, crack down on us? What?
Certain kinds of firearms, which, even in a worst-case scenario situation, could do limited damage. That's the idea of, like, banning high-capacity magazines. He absolutely dissected and destroyed her point to her face, and it's water off a duck's ass. It's like he said nothing. She just, yeah, anyway. God, Carrie Lake is so frustrating. She is so...
Not only did it, like, blow off her like a water on duck's ass, she literally, like, contradicted herself. She brought up, like, the idea, oh, we don't ban cars because car deaths. But then, you know, Piers Morgan actually, like, breaks that down as to why, like, it's good to regulate cars and blah, blah, blah. And that the U.S. does. And she's like... Oh, but those are two separate issues, though, isn't it? And she had that weird little Joker smile. Like, I mean, she brought it up, and then she wanted to try to say they're separate issues. It's like, bitch, you brought it up.
A hack. By the way, back in the day, she used to be an Obama supporter. Now,
YouTube be yeeting 9/11 comments, then they yeeted the second one also. Oh, dude, they're hardcore cracking down on 9/11 comments? Wow.
Trump supporter. She seems to be one of these people.
That's kind of dumb.
Right. Finger in the wind. How can I get more popular? What wave can I ride?
Why don't you just regulate guns like you did cars?
There are millions, tens of millions of gun owners in America who wouldn't dream of doing a mass shooting. They're legal. They own their guns legally, and we have a Second Amendment. It's a God-given right. It's in our Constitution.
Do you think the founding fathers would they be comfortable, Gary? With the founding
stock of just celebrating 9/11 at 7-Eleven's MC. I'm assuming that's what you were saying.
Let's have been comfortable watching this absolutely never-ending series of mass shootings. Would they have thought that was what they meant by the Second Amendment? Or would they have looked to perhaps to tailor it to modern times?
The founding fathers would have never been okay with what they're seeing right now, which is tyranny on our land once again. And the Second Amendment was put in place. We already pushed back the tyrants once, and we didn't give up. We clung to our guns.
Who's the tyranny from?
The tyranny was from the monarchy.
No, but now.
Back. And now we're seeing an overreaching government.
To monarchy, like, oh my gosh, she's bringing up the fucking War of Independence. Back when they had flintlocks and muskets, dude.
The lying media, lying to us, taking our livelihoods away with COVID restrictions, and imposing all of that on our children.
Oh my god! Oh my god, dude! It's 2023. We're like starting to get to the point where we're about to get into 2024 here in a couple months. Well, not a couple months, but you know, like 3 months, about 4 months. Like we're getting there. Oh fuck, we're getting there. But yeah, so that's happening, and like, how long was this? Oh my god. Like, no one cares anymore. Why do these people care so much?
On our education, and we don't want to have to throw back the tyrants again, but they put that in place to prevent us from having to do that, to protect us.
That's absolutely not why.
That's just batshit insane. Like, that's... Oh my god. How do you even respond to that?
Emma was put in place. That is totally revisionist history right there. First of all, let's be clear. In the Second Amendment, it has the word regulated.
Well regulated.
So the idea you can't regulate guns is preposterous. It says a well-regulated militia necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Well, I think it also like says like you know I think there's like something else about like protecting the nation and oneself from like enemies, foreign, domestic. There's like some other shit in there, I think, but it's pretty much a general gist. Yes.
Word regulated in it. That's the first point. The second point is, back then, all they had...
And also, yeah, what regulates also the first chunk of the Second Amendment. Like, everything else is afterwards.
Fucking muskets. Okay, they took like 5 minutes to reload, and they were incredibly inaccurate.
Okay, they didn't take like 5 minutes to reload, but yeah.
Think they could have foresaw the type of weaponry that we have today? Absolutely not. And then, third of all, there's debate about this among historians. Tom Hartman points this out all the time, that one of the things he says is that when they talk about a well-regulated militia having the right to bear arms, actually what they were referring to was slave patrols in the state of Virginia. Because Virginia was a majority slave state. And the idea was, hey, if they escape to the north, we don't want them to be free. So we have a right to have slave patrols that are armed to prevent our slaves, our property, from going north and gaining their freedom. Yep. That's one of the things. The other thing I've read is that it was about standing armies. That they knew standing armies are always going to be a threat to the stability and security of a government. In other words,
and the populace and the people as well, because it could be used as a form of oppression and shit. Like, you know, like a military junta, which, I mean, which arguably is true. I mean, you know, and at least depending on the governance and who runs, you know, the military and all, you know, there's a lot of, you know, extra complications and shit. But nonetheless, arguably, it literally still happens today. So, I mean, like, honestly, from like my interpretation, from what I've read about the whole idea of the thing, it's always been like a multi-interpretable amendment because of how fucking vague it is. And it's at least like there's always been like basically about like 3 or 4 main reasons as to why, and maybe honestly it probably is all 4 of them or 3 to 4 of them. It probably could just be all the above. But, like, the main reason is, it's like, the whole idea of, like, you know, like, a state / like, you know, federal militia, you know, when it comes to, like, the people when they're not, like, you know, rose up, you know, to, like, you know, become, like, regiments and, you know, become part of the military, whatever the fuck. Like, the idea was that, you know, they could still keep their arms and still have them as long, you know, as, like, you know, the army / militia itself is regulated. And that's at least kind of the first point a little bit, which kind of goes into the whole thing what Kyle's talking about. And then the second part is that it was meant to basically be like the peoples, you know, can essentially, you know, form militias to, you know, protect properties and their, you know, and shit, which includes, well, slaves as well, and a lot of Confederates and a lot of states that were predominant slave-owning states would use that as their justification. So that would be the second part. Third part would be, you know, when it comes to, like, you know, the individual's rights to form the militia and own arms. So, like, the whole regulated militia is, like, the individual's right to do such things. You know, so there, and, like, the fourth part is kind of, like, basically a little bit of all the above, you know, essentially. Like, I mean, where it's just like, you know, it's, you know, like, you know, the unequivocal individual right of just owning a firearm and just full stop. But it kind of just goes into everything else a little bit, you know, essentially. So I think it is just kind of all the above in a way. Like, I mean, it's supposed to kind of, like, you know, imply that there's, like, you know, elements of states' rights, you know, when it comes to the ownership of guns and all sort of shit. And when it comes to, like, you know, the ability of an individual or groups of people or state to form militias and for whatever reason, I think it's just kind of all the above a little bit, which is why it needs to be amended and kind of, like, you know, has some, like, 1,000, like, asterisks, you know, that kind of, you know, start kind of qualifying some of this shit. Because the weird, like, vague, multi-interpretable, like, element of the fucking Second Amendment is, at least in some part, why we're kind of in this fucking situation in the first place, I'd argue.
Your coups if there's a standing army. So the idea was, we're going to disband the army when they come back here, when they're, you know, on our home turf. But you're going to be allowed to keep your guns. That was sort of like the compromise. And so I've read different things about the purpose of the Second Amendment, but one of the things that for sure is revisionist history is this idea that, like, oh, they wanted to allow people to overthrow the government if the government gets too tyrannical. That is total right-wing mythology that's been repeated ad nauseum, ad infinitum, that it's just taken as an article of faith that, well, of course that's the reason why they allow the guns. No, it is not even close.
I will tell you this as a mother. I'm horrified to see anybody hurt, but I don't know. You haven't been on the streets of America lately.
Oh, I have.
Crime is out of control.
I've seen it.
It's not safe to walk down these Democrat-controlled cities.
By the way, I'm not.
I mean, hey, I live in one, and hey, it's safe. It's just fine. Like, I walk in those streets a lot. I've been in them streets. I was raised in them damn streets. And guess what? I mean, yeah, there's a lot of problems. And if you know where to go, and you know what you're doing, and you're not a fucking moron, you'll be fine.
You can be raped and murdered on the subway.
I'm not, by the way, I'm not making...
Yeah, just like, you know, a daily life of a New Yorker in the subway is just you get murdered, you know, occasionally. You know, a rape happens every now and then. Yeah, that's just the daily life of a New Yorker.
Hey, this is hilarious, because now she's doing a whole, you know, bro, we got to be tough on crime. There's so much crime. We got to be tough on crime. And, by the way, let everybody have guns. Wait, what? Those things...
I mean, she's basically implying that, you know, people should own firearms because there's a lot of crime and they should commit vigilantism and basically, you know, deal with crime themselves. She's basically implying that everyone should be a punisher. She's fucking unhinged. She's a psycho. She's psychotic.
To pick one. Either I'm tough on crime, I'm law and order, and that's why I want to regulate the guns to keep them out of the hands of the criminals, bro. That's
keep the guns at the criminals, bro. Dude, with DJ Kalinsky with his like mic and his like, you know, headphones set up, like, I mean, I can't help but think he's like some DJ at a club.
Actual tough on crime position. She's simultaneously saying, I'm tough on crime, while also saying, and I want anybody and everybody to have guns with no regulations whatsoever. That does not fit. That does not work. And she's smart enough to know that. She's smart enough to know that.
Let me just on that point. Okay. I am a much better mother that I have firearms and can protect my family.
It is
He's about to say statistically more likely that, you know, someone will be hurt or killed by a firearm, you know, with firearms in a household, and that is true. Like, I mean, just the idea that, like, I mean, you're able to inherently, like, you know, feel more like you're able to protect your family and your household is kind of silly. Because I don't think that. I have firearms, and, you know, and I've even mentioned, like, you know, if push came to shove, and if I absolutely had to, yeah, I would use them. But that's not the first fucking option. That's when push comes to shove, and that's the absolute last fucking option. Like, I mean, I'm gonna grab, like I have, like, a couple of clubs, basically. I have, like, you know, this little wooden club thing with, like, some nails, you know, sticking out of them. It wouldn't be good. I got, like, I mean, well, not, like, you know, the sharp points, but, like, the blunt end of them. I got, like, you know, like, a hockey stick. I got a bat. You know, I got, like, various different blunt objects that was sure as shit hurt. Like, I mean, you know, I got plenty of other things that I could use as a weapon more, you know, before I, you know, ever think about considering a gun. Like, when it comes to protecting my house. Like, there's just no need, you know, to have the firearm in place. Unless I just want to simply, you know, just intimidate someone and be like, get the fuck out of here and just back off, you know, right off the bat. But, again, there's no real inherent need for that, outside of maybe just intimidation factor. I mean, you know, and realistically, that's probably the best case, you know, to use the firearm for in that situation. It's just intimidatory factor. Don't actually use it to use it. Just use it to intimidate and scare the fuck out of somebody. Because, yeah, getting hurt from a gun, regardless of what caliber it is going to hurt like shit and be horrible, and no one wants to go for that. So, I mean, and also, if anyone's doing a home invasion shit, usually if there's people in the house, it's statistically very likely that people who do home invasions or, like, try to rob a house, like, if there's people there, or they get woken up and, you know, and they notice, like, what the fuck is going on, usually they leave. Like, because they're not trying to be noticed. So, like, if you come out, even if you're not even armed of anything, chances are they're going to fucking freak out and leave. Like, they're not going to want to deal with any bullshit. They don't want to take the risk. They ain't going to take the goddamn gamble. They just want your TV and, like, you know, a stereo system or something that is in your family room. Like, you know, maybe some jewelry that's in, like, a shelf or something. Like, I mean, like, they're trying to find a way to get an extra buck. They ain't trying to deal with no scrap. I mean, don't make it right, but, I mean, I'm just saying. So, like, if they, you know, like, they're more likely to fucking run away, you know, if they fucking, you know, deal with any bullshit or have an encounter. I mean, like, more statistically. Like, it's pretty rare for them to, like, have hostages or kidnap people or, like, you know, do all this other shit. I mean, it's not like it doesn't happen, because it absolutely fucking does. But, I mean, statistically, it's not that fucking likely.
much more likely, just by virtue of the fact that you have a firearm in your house, that somebody will die as a result of that firearm. So in other words, there's this illusion of, oh, this helps me to defend myself. No, statistically speaking, it actually makes it more likely somebody in your family will get shot. Now listen, that doesn't mean I'm not arguing you ban anybody and everybody from having guns. You have the right to assess that danger on your own and determine whether or not you want to own a gun, but the facts are the facts, and they speak for themselves. So this is a canard of an argument. It's not a good argument at all.
Protect my family. You call 911 right now, you can't get someone to show up at your house, Pierce, and there's crime and violence happening on our streets, and we need to protect our own families.
Okay, but here's my question. I don't dispute anything you've just said.
Why'd you pause?
What I'm going to say is this. Something has to be done. We can agree on this, right? A Fox News poll revealed that 87% of Americans back stricter background checks.
Look at those numbers.
Here, you know what? Let's look at this poll. This is a Fox News poll. Proposals to reduce the gun license position in safe favor. Background checks for guns, 87%. I agree with that. Enforcing existing gun laws, sure. Legal age of 21 to buy all guns, fair enough. You know, I mean, I'm kind of neutral with that, but fair enough. I mean, I'm not against that one way or the other. Require mental health checks, I agree with that. Flag people, danger to self, you know, red flag logs, basically. I mean, I will admit, I have a little bit of an asterisk about that one. Like, where I think, you know, where if someone is a danger to themselves, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to permanently be like that, right? Like, because honestly, before I had firearms, there was generally a point where I kind of had a level of suicidality with my life at one point. At this point, I don't, and I've been like that even well before I had firearms, because I wanted to, you know, make sure I was, like, stable enough to be like, hey, you know, I'm safe, I'm chill, you know, there ain't, like, you know, like, I'm good. You know, like, when it came to my own mental health, and once I, you know, had the Zukov around, and, like, you know, was able to, you know, figure other shit out and stuff like that, you know, I was like, hey, you know, I've always wanted to grab, you know, guns and stuff like that, you know, no pun intended, let's pull the trigger on it. So, you know, the first one I got was a shotgun, and then later down the line I got my AK, and, you know, say, you know, it's like, there's, like, no, like, honestly, I don't even think about that shit that much. Like, I mean, like, it's just, they're there, but it's not I think about that much. Like, I don't think about, you know, using them that much outside of, like, do I want to go to, like, range at some point? Let's see if ammo's available. And not much available for cheap. Damn. Ammo's pricey. This sucks. Like, I mean, honestly, like, that's how I feel most of the time when I'm, like, you know, think about it. Which is true. Like, honestly, the price for ammo, like, fucking sucks. So, I mean, you know, like, I mean, I don't really think about it that much. I don't really go out, you know, to my little redneck range I like to go to and shit like that. I just don't do that shit that much, just because, like, one, ammo's expensive, and two, it's not, like, the biggest fucking centric thing about my life. I mean, it's a fun hobby that I do, but it's not, like, the most centric thing about myself. But require a 30-day wait period, I also agree with that. I mean, so literally everything here I agree with. I mean, I kind of have some asterisks maybe about some of it, but for the most part, I mean, yeah. I you know, as a general rule, I agree with those. Those are agreeable. I think that should be a baseline standard. Like, I mean, and with this, I think with just this alone, you wouldn't necessarily have to, like, you know, ban certain firearms or, like, ban magazine capacity limits or whatever the fuck. I don't think you would necessarily have to do shit like that if you enforced this shit right here. I generally believe that. Like, I mean, you know, because you don't have to, like, you know, go the extra level to have, like, you know, extra little things, you know, restricted just because, you know, of X, Y, or Z. Like, hit the main big, you know, root of the issue, which all this, I think, would handle that. And, you know, like, and also a lot of that would be kind of, frankly, as far as I'm concerned, kind of irrelevant. But, I mean, that's just kind of my, you know, opinion about it. But nonetheless, all this right here, let's go, baby. Let's do it. Let's get that shit going.
This is a Fox poll. 87% want universal background checks. 81% want to enforce existing gun laws. 81% want legal age to be 21 to buy guns. because in some places I think it's like 18, it might even be like 16 in some places. 80% says require mental health checks. These are good reforms. These are good reforms that would definitely help keep people safer. Now, it wouldn't be a panacea, but you would definitely see a reduction in the number of gun deaths, maybe by as many as 10,000 or 20,000 people per year.
I mean, honestly, like, if you can at least address certain things like socioeconomic conditions and things like that to reduce, suicidality and shit like that when it comes to suicide rates, I mean, I'd argue you probably even see, like, 30,000. I won't argue that. I mean, granted, like, he said it wouldn't be a panacea. Like, I mean, there would definitely be still problems. There would definitely be, like, gun violence still around and shit. But I honestly argue it would be certainly reduced in a very immense way. I think this right here would, definitely drastically reduce it in the way that he, claims. I do believe that.
Flag people, danger to self. That's like red flag laws. 80% support that. 30-day waiting period. 77%. Again, Fox News poll. This is one of those issues where
I remember back in like 2017, there was like a Fox News poll similar to this and have very similar numbers. I think, it had different things displayed, but I know for a fact universal background checks and the mental health check part was a part of that poll. There's a few other things that I think that were in there that aren't here, but it was basically, for all intents and purposes, similar shit. And it also had very similar numbers. And again, Fox News. That means mostly a conservative base that is voting on shit like this. Which honestly fucking says something. I mean, granted, maybe there's other stuff that they don't necessarily agree with as much. But what I think when it comes to the core basis and the standard that should be held when it comes to gun regulation, there seems to be a genuine consensus here. So, what the fuck? I wonder why that tends to be a major issue. It can't be like the gun lobbies and the NRA that happen to be like heavily funding, the fact that, this shit doesn't get through.
Even a lot of Republicans, even a lot of like NRA supporters are like, well, I love guns and I'm for the Second Amendment, but of course I want these.
I mean, there's pro-gun lefties like me that are the same way, honestly. I mean, it's not necessarily a political issue when it comes to firearms, like at least on a left-to-right scale. I mean, it is a political issue for sure, but like not necessarily on the left-to-right paradigm that people think it is. Because there's plenty of people on the left like me that are certainly pro-gun and like guns and, enjoy them and, as much as like, at least a casual conservative guy might. Not like a Second Amendment hump and chuckle fuck, because that shit's, they're fucking insane. Like, they're the people that that really probably should have guns. I'd rather have their guns and be like, hey, I want your fucking, like, stockpile, because it's kind of badass, and I would be way safer with all that. So, fuck you. Like, I'm not an unhinged weird freak that's potentially gonna go, like, slaughter a bunch of agents because they check up on you to make sure you're storing it properly. Like, I mean, so... I don't know. That's just my thoughts. But either way, like, there's definitely people like me that, are like, pro-gun, but hey, we like this shit too.
Things. And Carrie Lake's like, no, wait for it.
To buy guns should be raised.
Here, before we keep going, I'm gonna take a piss real quick and we'll get right back into this juice. Leak some juice and then fill myself up with some more juice. Hey, what's up, big boy? Good lord. Goofy little thing? Just goofy little thing, yes please. Oh. Big chunk. Oh. Oh. Big chungamunga. Look at you. Oh, you big chungus boy. You always have to knock something over, do you? Oh. Good lord. Fucking hell. Damn. What the fuck is up with you? Nut?
21. 80% agreed that anyone who buys a gun should go to a mentor themselves. 77% want a 30-day waiting off period for all gun purchases.
Okay, that doesn't surprise me because this is a
But would you support that?
Fox News is a globalist network.
Look, this is.
Oh my gosh, it's like, this doesn't surprise me. Fox News is a globalist network and it's all fake news and they're spewing bullshit and propaganda. Which, outside of the globalist part, I do agree with everything else that she might, think about them. Like, oh my...
Conspiracy brain people do. This is what they do. Evidence, facts, data, numbers, meh. You're a globalist. This is from globalists. So in other words...
It's also another way to say Jews. It's like, oh yeah, they're ran by the Jews. Like, that's basically what she wants to say.
You dispute the source whenever you get information that conflicts with your own narrative. It doesn't matter. You could you could have said Newsmax did the poll or One American News did the poll, and she would find a way to weasel out of it and say, well, actually, there's an owner at Newsmax who Soros funded or something, and that's why you got this. This is bogus. So in other words, it's never honestly engaging with the information, ever. It's always like some reason to dismiss all of the information out of hand. And this is also a lot of what we see with the COVID conspiracy stuff as well. It's the same process. You could cite as many studies as you want, as much data as you want, but if they just say, hey, the source of the data I don't buy, then it's like, well, where do you go from there? Where do you go? There's nowhere you can go because they're just going to reject no matter what you give them. They're going to say, I reject that out of hand. It's really frustrating and it's really dishonest.
Because they're fucking, like, conspiratorial fucking psychos. Like, they don't have any connection to actual reality. They have, like, basically this devolved sense of what reality is. And basically from there, will, like, just create their own world from it. It's like they're pretty much like creating their own fantasy world.
To make sure.
Fox News is watched by a lot of gun owners.
Fox News is a globalist network run by globalists who want to bring down our Constitution.
Basically the Jews.
He said Fox News wants to bring down our Constitution. You know who literally said he wants to, quote, suspend the Constitution? Donald Trump. And you lick his taint on a daily basis. And
and also, like, he's, like, such a demagogue that he basically wants to, like, destroy every... Well, yeah, pretty much what Kyle's saying. He wants to destroy every element of the Constitution. Like, he wants to, like, suspend it and, like, destroy any idea of democracy or freedom of speech and expression. Yeah, I mean, he's a fucking unhinged maniac.
Trying to become his VP. Everybody can see it, Carrie. Everybody can see it. Well, look, here's my prediction. It's a bold prediction. We'll see what happens. But my guess is it's not going to be Carrie Lake, who's...
Yeah, she's not going to be the VP. I mean, in a way, she is kind of posturing for it when it comes to this type of shit, that's for sure.
Over the past 5 years, 10 years.
No, but Fox News is a globalist network. Let's just face it. We all know the truth here.
I don't think
Fox
News is a globalist network. It's the
Matter.
biggest conservative network in the country.
Well, they got
most of
it is.
Tucker Carlson.
Most of it. Well,
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, they fired Tucker Carlson, so thus globalists and like that's what she fucking thinks. Oh my god, dude. She's honestly a fucking, like, I mean, I don't care. She's a fucking Nazi, dude. Like, she's like one of these fucking weird far-right neo-Nazi extremist psychopaths that are, like, pushing this extremist fundamentalism and, like, this QAnon-esque QAnon-esque fucking, like, extremist far-right conspiratorial bullshit. I mean, she's a part of that fucking crowd. I guarantee you she's probably, buddied up with Nick Fuentes at some point. Sukov, what the fuck is your deal? Can I help you? Sir, this is a Wendy's.
Well then, geez, I guess they're not conservative anymore. Are you kidding me? What a joke. Again, her main beef with Fox
I mean, to her it ain't, unfortunately.
News, let's understand this very clearly, is that they didn't go all in.
Okay, yeah, we get it. Is there any other shit to the clip? Yep, there is.
It's unbelievable.
I'll get into that, but most of its viewers, I suspect, would have a pro-gun view, and yet 80% of them want all these new measures brought in. Would you not agree with any of them?
If you pass any of those and make those laws, they're unconstitutional.
Oh, no, oh my God.
No, wait. It's... Like... Says who? You weird cunt? Like, because they absolutely are. They would certainly be constitutional. I mean, what the fuck are you talking about, you crazy fucking harpy crone?
Of who she is and what she's in favor of.
87% Our Second Amendment is protecting us. Our Second Amendment allows me to protect my family. It allows me to protect my children.
And maybe you shouldn't have guns, so find something else to protect your family and your children with, you crazy bitch.
Right now, we're living in a very dangerous place. I'm sure the streets of London aren't safe either, but the streets of America...
Oh my God, no. Now shut up. Oh my God.
Then you go to San Francisco, LA, Phoenix, and you wouldn't dare walk down the street at night.
Okay, whatever. She's just literally got talking points. That's it. Oh my God. Oh wow. What a fucking absolute crone, dude. Holy shit. Wow. Well, that's... She's psychotic. Just good reminder of that. Good grief, dude. Ay, fucking yay. Just nothing but fucking absurdity, I do tell you what. Wait, what the hell is this? Union Dixie drip? I'm digging the thumbnail. I'm digging this thumbnail, though. Union Dixie drip? I'm taking the bait. Memes.
Way down south in the land of traders, rattlesnakes and alligators.
Yeah.
Right away, come away, right away, come away. Where cotton's king and men are chattels, Union boys will win the battles. Right away, come away, right away, come away. We'll all go down to Dixie, away, away. Each Dixie boy must understand that he must find his Uncle Sam. Away, 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 away. We'll all go down to Dixie, away, away, away. We'll all go down to Dixie, way down south in the land of...
Hell yeah, dude. Fuck yeah, this is bop. And you know what? This right here is some drip. Our boys, dude. Sherman, Lincoln, and Ulysses, dude. Fuck yeah.
Rattlesnakes and alligators, right away, come away, right away, come away.
Dude, this is I like it. This is what we need. Oh, nice reprieve. That's what happens when you go down, land rattlesnakes and alligators, bruh. You're gonna get, the good old Sherman treatment. Get the good old Abe. You get the good old Abe Lincoln. And then you get the good old Grant, to try to cover it up. Which she's just gonna burn it all down. So.
King and men are chattels. Union boys will win the battles. Right away, come away, right away, come away. We'll all go down to Dixie, away, away.
Dude, this shit slaps. Fuck yeah.
We'll all go down to Dixie, away, away, away. We'll all go down to Dixie.
Based. Approved. Very approvable. I love it. Savona, dudes, how about you own some bitches? How about you own some bitches? I'm not even American. I feel highly patriotic about America listening to this. Nice. A be dripping, Sherman be Berman, and Grant be drinking. True. Slavery is gay because it means owning another man. Hey, don't be lumping gayness into that. Supreme Court was found in 94, or Supreme was found in 94 and still going, making it officially last longer than capacity. But you being so bitchless, you have to buy some. The United Based of America. Remember to blast this at your local neo-Confederate rally? True! This slap's harder than the Battle of Gettysburg. You have quite a few slaves working on your plantation, but how many bitches you got working in your bedroom? Damn! Dude! Fuck yeah. I'll show your new Confederate neighbor. Step 1, blasting you in Dixie MX volume. Commit arson upon the property like Sherman. Base! I take offense that John Brown isn't wearing drip. True, where's John Brown in his drip? Everything's boy gangster until the union rolls up. North side throwing your set. Beat drop hard, then the front lines of Pickett's charge. Players downtown Atlanta, it was totally lit. We botched the slavery with this one. Hell yeah. Why does it sound unironically good? Because it is unironically good. Union be popping, traders be dropping. True. That's what my sense of humor has become. Well, it's sense of humor. You mean sense of pride, sir? You should boy must understand. You must mind his Uncle Sam still goes hard after 162 years. True. Old Robert E. Lee has been quiet ever since this dropped. True. Damn right. Okay, most of these, pretty much like 95% of those comments are bangers. Fuck yeah. One of the few times I'll feel patriotic about America. That's right, brother. The fuck? This dress took hundreds of hours of work and 38 rolls of duct tape. This is a duct tape dress? Rediga Singh's dress will put you on display. No, it's not. I mean, I guess it looks cool. Like, you got a bunch of flags of the world. You got, like, you know, people and stuff. I guess different religious symbols or something. And then, like, Earth. I mean, alright. But are you going to actually keep that dress and wear it multiple times? Or are you going to throw it away once you're done with it? Like, what's going on here? What's the comments? Making her own wedding dress. I mean, is it just that? Is that it? And wore it's probably like too fast she was in newspaper and stuff. Huh. A lot of people hating on this girl. Makes dress, can't lie. Well, you know. Toxicity comments. I don't see toxicity, you know, okay. I mean, I also was kind of wondering if there was any. Maybe let's do this. Sounds comfy. Here we go. No one cares. Who gas? What? Cupid is far more important things than you should report. Let's boycott news outlets like this. Good luck. Oh my god. I know that dress has to be sticky. It probably is, actually. You know what? Good point. That's me balling me in my night. No Kosovo. Huh? Grandma. Okay, I remember that. It's beautiful. What a waste of time. What a waste. Oh my god. Okay, whatever. Oh my god, whatever. Wait, hold on. Wait. What was that comment? I actually might agree with this. I see all the flags and the people holding hands, so far so good, but then we have all the religious symbols. That kind of thwarts the whole unity theme. One of the main purposes of religion is in-group solidarity, us good, them bad. Yeah, actually, you know, yeah, that's why I hate the whole, like, coexist, like, with all the religious symbols. It's like, religion by its nature can't coexist with other religions. Like, at least, especially the fundamentalist extremist elements of these things. I mean, it's like, I just hate that shit, honestly. Because, not really because of the idea inherently, but because it's just, I mean, it's just futile. Like, it's unattainable. Like, it's something that you can't exactly achieve. So we're doing with religious people? I guess it's but oh my god, whatever. Oh, so being atheist means you must be doing that to religious people, so what the fuck, bro? I mean, whatever. Can't fast be sure that does not have a Chinese and North Korea or Russian flag. Okay, so? Looks like shit from a towel on her. Oh, okay, that's just racist. Okay, there's some toxic shit. Yeah, there's some toxic shit here. I mean, whatever. I mean, good for her. I didn't think that, like, you know, duct tape dresses were actually a thing, but I guess somebody else said that some other chick did it back in 05 or something. Apparently made newspapers and stuff, so I don't know. I guess it's just something that, you know, some people do, you know, whatever. I mean, honestly, considering that, like, they made, like, different intricate flags and all the different, I mean, you know, honestly, all in all, there is some genuine, like, artistic, like, merit that went into that shit. So, you know, hey, I'm willing to give credit where it's due. It's pretty cool. Not something I would do personally, but, you know, hey, still cool. I'm willing to, you know, recognize some cool shit when I see some cool shit. It's whatever, but, hey, still cool shit, though. Little ball. Yeah, you. Yeah, you're a little ball, like a little croissant. Adorable little goof. Here. Let's see what our little things are on the tube for tonight. Comedy night at the high dive was surprisingly hilarious. Comedy night at the high dive. Wait, was there a comedy night? Wait, y'all go? Wait, where'd y'all go anyway? Because honestly, I wasn't really, like, you know, feeling the vibe to go in downtown Portland tonight. I was like, feels like a little too far out, and But that's what I was kind of, you know, mentioning kind of preemptively, like, if anyone was doing anything tomorrow, or at least for Saturday, because, you know, you have Saturday off. Monday's comedy night at the high dive. Oh. Dolphin Hawthorne. Okay, so, alright, yeah, I mean, I knew where that was, like, that's why I kind of asked if y'all were staying there, but when y'all mentioned you were going to the space room, I'm like, I have to, like, take the 75 to get there, and that takes way longer than just taking the fucking max, and I was like, I immediately was like, I didn't want to really have to deal with that bullshit, so, I mean, just considering that it's, like, you know, a little more later. It feels like, if I got off at, like, 8 or 9, honestly, I would be like, you know, fuck it, let's do it, but Mondays usually are nights I get out a little later. I mean, on the weekends I get out usually more around like 9 and 9:30, but on Mondays and like Thursdays and Fridays I usually get out between like 10 and 10:30. So it's just mostly just because like Mondays are stupid fucking little like Monday special deals and shit. So like everyone, especially for our dark meat, for like 8-piece chickens and shit. Oh my fucking god! Like everybody and their goddamn mother and like their fucking grandmother's corpse, you know, is fucking ordering that shit. It's just ridiculous. So hard maybe on Duffy's. Well, if you do hit the river, I mean, you know, I'm like I'd figured, you know, like, you know, afterwards it'd probably be something. To say I have nothing going on after errands. I want to find a karaoke bar, honestly. Like, I want to see what, like, you know, fuck karaoke bars, like, are open outside of, like, Fridays and Saturdays. I know there's, like, one on Wednesdays. Tyler mentioned that there was, like, a bar that does one on Wednesdays. I forgot the name of it, though. I just want... Like, honestly, I just want to know, like, you know, all the karaoke bars in Portland. That's pretty much... I know the Kenton Club, you know, is one. Kenton's karaoke every night. I know, yeah, the Kenton's pretty much the one that's every night. Duffy's in Wichita are like Friday and Saturday for karaoke nights. I like Duffy's because they go on YouTube and pick karaoke's from there, and when I do karaoke's here, that's where I go to. So it's pretty much easy to like pick the ones that I know I've done pretty well from memory. Going to Columbia, Duffy's the opposite direction. Oh shit! So yeah, you're going way out there. Okay. Well, I mean, you know, hey, whatever. I mean, I'm assuming, like, you know, it wouldn't be, like, an absolute all-day adventure, but obviously, you know, you're going to go on your own time, so it's... At least I'm putting it out there preemptively, you know, instead of, like, you know, the day of or last second or something, you know, so... But at least Tuesday, you know, we should figure something out. That's why I was kind of like, you know, not really too worried about, you know, hanging out for tonight too much, because I know tomorrow that, you know, we can kick it. Wouldn't be a big deal. Oh, here's something. The TikTok time traveler situation is great. Wait. TikTok time traveler situation? Huh? My boy Charlie. What do you have for me? Whoa. Huh?
Well, I'm not a big believer in the paranormal. All that hocus pocus and all that mumbo jumbo about ghosts and goblins and ghouls and gnomes and Santa Claus. It's all a bunch of hooey. The only metaphysical conundrum that I believe in is the mystery of why I'm stuck at 5'6". But aside from that, not much else. Though today we're going to be talking about something that's got me scratching at my chinny chin chin here in curiosity, because there is a TikTok time traveler who made a few predictions, and they actually kind of blew up on TikTok. So much so that we had someone come out to the warehouse about 2.5 weeks ago to help fix the air conditioning that was broken, and before leaving he mentioned to Matt that we need to make sure that we really hunker down, board everything up, and prepare for a Category 6 hurricane that was blowing in about 2 weeks. And Matt was stunned. So Matt sat there...
What? Whoa, Category 6. Dude, they only have Category 1 for 5. Like, if they created a 6th category, that would be unprecedented.
Been hit with a fucking flashbang and tear gas at the same time. His brain literally blue screen.
Hey, I know how that feels. I've been flashbanged and tear gas before. Luckily, I have a gas mask on, so I don't know how the tear gas would feel, you know, at least, like, in its full potential.
I'm hearing this. A Category 6 is not real. That's never... Category 5 is the highest it goes.
Hey, it could be.
So this goes above and beyond. It's going fucking plus ultra. And this guy is claiming that there's one on the way, even though there was no information about that anywhere. So Matt poked a little bit to see where he got it from. And he said a time traveler on TikTok said it. And that's when the light bulb went off in Matt's head. Eureka.
I got tear gas to full potential is ass. Well, I mean, I actually have once, but, I mean, being flashbanged and tear gassed at the same time at its full potential, I have not had that. I've been tear gassed unintentionally in its full potential because I thought it was kind of clear with all the gas, and I lifted my mask up and it wasn't clear at all. It was horrible. It was pretty miserable. And yes, it was absolute fucking ass and shit. And I've been also in the vicinity where it's kind of like, you know, like adjacent, where I'm not like, where it's not like in the cloud, but it's kind of like dissipating and kind of like, you know, with the wind and shit, kind of like, you know, flushing away into like the rest of the blocks and, you know, the city and shit, where you can kind of like where it tickles you, basically. I've had that. Found like 4 or 5 places that do karaoke, but none of them say which days. Man, I gotta love that. That's kind of annoying. It's like, yeah, we do karaoke. Oh yeah, when do you do it? It's just like, Great, that's awesome. I guess we could call it up, you know, call them and be like, hey, when do you have karaoke nights?
Well, it was time to take this seriously now. There was a lot of weight behind this claim. So this is the video that was floating around and actually gaining a lot of steam online. Yes, I am a real time traveler. Here are all of the events.
Oh wait, Heritage does karaoke on Tuesdays, I think. Oh, the Heritage? Oh, I think you might be right. I'll confirm that tomorrow. I'll ask him. Tomorrow I'll call him up. Be like, hey, do you do karaoke nights tonight? Or if not, when do you do them? You know, so I'll ask him. I'll call him up and ask.
In the final months of 2023, September. This isn't unusual for TikTok. Every single goofball with a phone likes to pretend that there's some kind of time traveler giving us warnings. And
well, also, there's a lot of people on TikTok that like to be conspiracy theorists and weirdos, so this isn't really anything unusual.
Make like a ton of fucking outrageous claims. And this one said on September 4th, the first ever Category 6 hurricane occurs. It runs up almost the entire U.S. East Coast, but it mainly affects Florida and both the Carolinas. Now, when Matt told me, I had already told him I knew that, because I am very in touch with the goofy shit that happens online. I had actually already made fun of this video on stream as well. When Matt told me about this, I giggled quite hard. I nearly stood up on myself. I still can't believe that real human beings in the real world will see some shit like that on TikTok and not give an iota of thought to it, and never even have the idea that it could be a lie crossed their mind. This is a complete stranger on TikTok claiming to be a time traveler, making outrageous claims, and then some people just pog out to it and take it at face value, believing it. Like, holy shit, a Category 6 is rolling in, we gotta get fucking prepped. John Teeter on TikTok said so. John Connor, Johnny Silverhand.
I mean, honestly, when it comes to hurricanes, regardless of the category, it's good to prep. I mean, honestly, like, I think it's a good idea, especially considering natural disasters and climate change and stuff. I think it's a good idea to be at least, have at least some mind of a prepper, at least a little bit. I mean, not like the full-on, like, the goddamn, climate change and geoengineering, the weather and the Chinese and this and that, blah, 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 they're gonna take everything over, collapse the American government, and that's why you need to prep, bruh. Like, those preppers are fucking unhinged, but, like, I mean, like, the idea of at least, like, having precautionary measures in case, some crazy natural disaster hits or some shit like that. I mean, I think that's actually a good idea. But but to try to add this weird conspiratorial bullshit, it just really undermines the whole like genuine idea about prepping, I think, and it's just so ridiculous.
TikTok time traveler, this asshole said a Category 6 is coming, so it must be true. It's amazing. But the reason that I mentioned this was 2 weeks ago is because fast forward to now, and we had Hurricane Lee forming. And it was a very quick Category 5 and only getting stronger, threatening the East Coast. And a couple days ago, Matt told me, Charles, if this turns out to be right, we're going to feel real fucking silly for making fun of this. He tried to warn us, but we didn't believe him.
What?
And I was actually starting to panic a little bit, thinking the universe around me was crumbling. My understanding of this very dimension we inhabit was starting to be called into question here. Maybe this was the one asshole telling the truth and is somehow an actual time traveler trying to get the message across. And I spit on it. But then it turns out, no, he was completely wrong. He not only predicted the wrong date, but he made like 5 other predictions that are just ridiculous. And also, Hurricane Lee has lost most of its strength. It's still a Category 3 hurricane as of right now. And it's also not going to Florida like the time traveler predicted. I also want to show you the other prediction.
I mean, honestly, knowing that I haven't heard much news out of Hurricane Lee, I mean, I kind of figured it really wasn't as bad as it looked.
Made in the same video. They said on September 10th, 20 people are chosen to see the afterlife, to know what it is like when you pass.
Well, I guess it wasn't me. And if it's 20 people, I mean, that's kind of convenient because, like, I don't know how many people die a day for whatever fucking reason or cause. But, like, I mean, like, considering how many people exist on the planet, which is pretty much damn near 8 billion, yeah, like, this is so ridiculous. Wow.
What does that even mean? Does God hold some kind of reality show competition to choose 20 people to take a peek at heaven? Like,
yes.
Is this a deal or no deal situation? 20 people?
Yeah, it is. I mean, yeah, that's what God does every now and then. He's like, I'm going to let 20 people, get to take a peek at heaven so they can, spread the word of God. Yeah.
Take a vacation.
I mean, I have to have a few apostates and a few, like, people preaching the word of God. I mean, come on now.
Come back? Because if not, this is just 20 people dying. And if that's the case, the bigger news on September 10th would have been that only 20 people in the world died. Because I've got news for the time traveler here. There's far more than 20 people seeing what the afterlife is like every single day. So this
no
one,
shit.
I just don't fucking understand it all.
I mean, yeah, and I think the idea is that they're meant to come back to life like they die temporarily. Like, maybe they have a heart attack and they die momentarily, but they're able to be resuscitated or something. Or maybe, like, they die, during a surgery and they're able to be resuscitated or something like that. I don't know. Like, I think that's the idea. Like, 20 people are, like, able to come back to life, after being temporarily dead and seeing heaven. I think that's the idea.
Say, this makes the entire population to focus on finding a way to live much longer, as less than 5% are happy after. So I guess...
What? Okay, so this makes the entire population... What? What does that even mean?
less than 5% are happy after. So I guess whatever time that this guy traveled from, they lost the ability to write in proper syntax. This is broken. I can't even deduce what the claim is. So after 20 people take a visit to the afterlife, less than 5% are happy after, and the population focuses on ways to live longer? You mean like what they're doing every single day? Science is constantly striving for ways for people to live longer. And that's without the 20 chosen afterlife spectators. And again, do the people that go to the afterlife come back to tell us about it? Like what the
I think that's the implication.
Fuck. Now the next one is still upcoming, so this one still remains to be seen, but on September 18th, they claim that an invisible wall is put down to surround Mexico and Guatemala. It was put there by a hostile alien species to try and weaken us when they attack.
Whoa, dude. They're fucking coming, bro. The aliens, dude. The cosmic spiders, they're coming, bro. The cosmic spiders are showing up, bro. In 6 days, or yeah, 6 days, they are going to show up, dude. The cosmic spiders in 6 days will show forth and attack by placing a fucking invisible wall between Guatemala and Mexico.
Why? Why would they be putting an invisible wall there?
Because of migration, because of, like, you know, the equatorial belt and becoming more uninhabitable and the climate change, and thus, you know, they will put that invisible wall there to cause more instability and chaos, and we'll be fighting amongst ourselves, and then once they invade and attack us, we'll be fighting amongst ourselves too much for them to, you know, for us to give a fuck about them invading us, and they can subjugate us easier. There you go. You're not thinking like a conspiratorial brain, bro. You're not thinking in your own conspiratorial brain, man. Like, I mean, I've delved enough in these conspiracy theories back in the day where, like, you know, for the fun of it, where I can understand how these weirdos think. And, like, that's how they would couch it, bro. That's how it is. I mean, Charlie, I'm honestly kind of surprised you wouldn't be able to concoct, you know the theory, because, I mean, come on, dude.
Just play a ton of Starfield and see how effective invisible walls were or something? And if you have that kind of technology, why not just put an invisible wall around, like, pretty much everywhere? Cut it.
I mean, that would be too obvious now, wouldn't it? Use the brain, bruh.
Off. And also, why even use that in the first place? They also just fucking attack. If they're here, they'll probably beat our ass in an all-out war.
Yeah, because they're here, they're queer, and they're here to beat our ass. That's right.
The final claim from the time traveler for September of 2023 is on September 23rd, a Spirit Airlines plane crashes in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. It actually went through a wormhole where it is 2 seconds to them, 6 years to us, and they return in 2029.
What the fuck? What?
Call me crazy, but I highly doubt that last one's happening. But
what? So like Malaysian Airlines, like, you know, where it, like, crashed in the ocean and was never recovered? Is it gonna be like that, but it actually mysteriously recovers? And it's just like pops out of nowhere, where like the 2 seconds they're in the wormhole, they come back and nothing happens to them, but it's like 6 years in the future. What?
Still remains to be seen. I really think that this was probably made by a teenager. That whole last section there just feels like it was a piece of his creative writing course for like his English class or something.
Yo, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised.
Fine. Like, it's really not that big of a deal, but somehow we met a person, a real living, breathing human being outside of the internet that believed this shit. Like with the upcoming Category 6 hurricane. So much so that they were trying to tell us that we need to prep for it. I'm assuming they had already started stockpiling like doomsday preppers getting ready for it. And that is tragic. That we've reached the point where people will actually believe anything. Not that I'm surprised. I'm not surprised by it. We see this all the time on Twitter, where people will believe the most outrageous shit without even a single morsel of evidence to support it. But I've just never seen it in the real world. I thought that was mainly brain rot, internet brain, but no. This was a seemingly completely normal guy.
I mean, dude, what did you expect?
Happened to really buy into this hype that there was a Category fucking 6 hurricane that was coming in like 2 weeks. But you know what? I'm putting the carriage before the horse here. You know, there's still time for some of his other predictions to see if those come true or not. You know,
I doubt
got
it.
a couple of them wrong, sure, but you know, who isn't wrong sometimes? But anyway, I just had to talk about this a little bit. That's it. See ya.
He doesn't even know where to go. He's like, yeah, this shit's crazy. It exists. Have fun with it. Yeah, there you go. Because, man, honestly, this whole time traveler shit has been a thing for a while, honestly. Like, it's... I mean, like, I remember back in the conspiratorial days of YouTube, in the early days of YouTube, like, where there would be, like, pictures of, like, oh, this person's a time traveler because of, like, X, Y, or Z, because, like, their sunglasses, or, you know, or this, or whatever the fuck, like, I mean, they would use weird little things to try to, like, you know, claim that people are time travelers, you know, that are, like, tourists, you know, time traveler tourism and shit like that. Dude, there was some weird shit back in the day, but fun, you know, funny stuff and, you know, entertaining nonetheless, but weird. And, you know, I'll say it again, like, the fact that so much of it's on TikTok and has basically been dumbed down and fucking, like, you know, just reduced into short form content just kind of makes me sad, because I like that, like, 8 to 10 to 12 minute, like, long form conspiratorial, like, analysis content, you know, like, that shit was great, but it's not really that common anymore, and it's just sad. Makes me sad. You know, the nostalgia just isn't really, it's just not really there as much anymore. It was once upon a time, and it ain't there no more. Oh my god, that fucking croissant. That little croissant of a dog. That little burnt croissant. Oh. He's just out. Goofball. So cute. Anyway. Let's get the last little bowl smoked up here and call good for the rest of the night. Get myself some food. And get myself some Z's. Nice. Anyway, peace out. Of course, I should be back around for the next one. So, à tous, bacroos.